This is the Witcher podcast on TV Podcast Industries, and we're talking about the second half of The Witcher Season 2, episodes 5 to 8.
When the conjunction happened, it wasn't just the elves. Humans, dwarves, spheres of beasts collided too. Mages weaponized monsters. Tried to conquer the lands with them. Of course, the monsters destroyed everything. Then, 300 years ago, mages weaponized men, mutated them with elixirs, made them faster, stronger, brutal enough to kill the beasts. The witches saved humanity from extinction.
Welcome back, fellow Witchers. This is TV Podcast Industries. We're chatting about the second half of The Witcher Season 2, episodes 5 to 8. On this week's podcast, I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
Hello there, fellow Witchers. I am one of your other hosts, John.
And rounding out this group of mutants, I am Chris.
Mutants? Although, if there were X-Men, that'd be cool.
Well, what is a Witcher except a kid who was subjected and imprisoned and poisoned and mutated via vials of stuff and sent off into battle, much like an X-Men.
Kind of. I'm not sure you've got your creation story of the X-Men correct there, Chris. But anyway, we are going to talk about the second half of the season. If you haven't caught up on our podcast about the first half of The Witcher Season 2, make sure you go over to our website at tvpodcastindustries.com, where you'll get actually all three parts of our discussions so far on The Witcher, Season 1 and Season 2 up there on the website. And we're going to discuss the other half of the season, so make sure you've watched all of The Witcher before you jump into this second and final part of our discussions on The Witcher. What did you guys think overall on this half of the season?
John, I'm looking at you.
I thought this was really good. I thought this was better than the first half, I think. I love just how it culminated, all the threads coming together. And to be honest, I just think the whole season, anyway, they have crammed in a lot of just stuff.
Yes, they
action, broadening out this world. It was just really, really good. I think it's been a fantastic season.
Absolutely. How about yourself, Chris?
Similar. Absolutely over the moon with how it went. If anything, my complaint is it's too much. They crammed a lot of storylines, a lot of, like, to the point where it was sitting at the end going, okay, so where are we? We're here, yep. And then this is going to happen, and this, okay, but what, having to remember back certain parts, and who knew what. I completely forgot about one whole storyline from season 1 being in this part, and I was like, they're sleeping together? Oh yeah, no, we knew that. Yep. Okay, wait, hold on.
It's also having to try and remember all the names of all the different characters. There's so many people. It's such a large cast. It's
I'm
crazy.
Going Bob 1, Bob 2, Bob 3, Mrs. Bob 1, Mrs. Bob 2. It's not like they're easy names like Bob, Sue, Johnny. It's like Istredd and Inchefella. And I'm like, cool. Yeah, no. Unless I see you one more time or 3 more times, you're just
absolutely
Bob 1.
And there's a fair few characters who are only 1 or 2 letters difference between their names as well. So some that I had mixed up as the season was going on. And 2 characters that look almost exactly the same, to the point where John was checking the credits to see if it was a different actor playing 2 major roles in the season. So we will get to that. But let's get into our discussion about the first episode that we're discussing for this section of the podcast. We are going to talk about the episodes pretty much separately, not going to spoil anything about episode 6 in this discussion. But let's start off with episode 5, Turn Your Back, the first episode of the second half of the season. The series is based on the book series by Andrzej Sapkowski and by the game series from CD Projekt Red. Showrunner of the show, Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich. Once again, to mention, we've covered her loads of times in this show, and I think we can say we really do like her work. She worked on Daredevil, The Defenders, and The Umbrella Academy, as well as season 1 of The Witcher as well. So the show's in good hands.
Yeah, certainly is. It's amazing. You just unconsciously find this pattern where you're coming back to the same showrunner. It's kind of like with comics as well. You just end up going, oh, that's by Brubaker as well, or that's by Fraction or whatever, you know? So really interesting how these things pan out, you know?
Absolutely. This episode was directed by Edward Bazalgette. He directed 4 episodes of Peter Capaldi's run on Doctor Who, and also directed 6 episodes of The Last Kingdom. We spoke about The Last Kingdom last week on our previous episode. So another Last Kingdom director working on this show, which makes sense. There's a lot of connections there with what's going on in The Witcher. But interestingly, because I like to find interesting facts, he was also the guitarist for British band The Vapors, who had a one-hit wonder with Turning Japanese in the 80s. Now, fellow Witchers, try and get Turning Japanese out of your head, because that's what I've been singing for the last 3 days since I learned that. But isn't that cool?
It's almost like it's going around and around, Turning Japanese.
There you go.
I really think so.
This episode was written by Hayley Hall. She wrote Season 1, Episode 6 of The Witcher, so stayed on board for Season 2 as well. John, do you want to give us your synopsis for Episode 5 of The Witcher? Turn Your Back.
Sure. Rience, a powerful fire mage, is freed from prison and tasked to find Ciri by the sorceress Lydia, who is serving an unknown master. Geralt and Istredd travel to the fallen monolith outside Cintra. Meanwhile, Yennefer, having disembarked from the rescue ship, frees Jaskier from Rience. They are then separated and captured by city guards. Vesemir reveals his plan to create new witches to Ciri, who agrees but insists on being the first candidate. Investigating the ruins of the monolith, Geralt and Istredd hypothesize that the monoliths are gateways that, when activated, allow monsters to enter their world. Geralt learns from Istredd that Yennefer is alive. Triss, attempting to dissuade Ciri from the experiment to become a witcher, conducts a ritual in the hope of discovering Ciri's source of power. They uncover Ithlinne's prophecy, which predicts that a child of the Elder Blood will destroy the world. Ciri's powers activate the Cintra monolith, causing a Chernobog to appear before flying off into the skies above the continent. Geralt portals back to Kaer Morhen, stopping Ciri from taking part in the conversion to a witcher. Cahir, meanwhile, arrives at Cintra, and Yennefer summons the Deathless Mother and disappears. She is tasked with delivering Ciri to a location outside Cintra.
Excellent. Lots of stuff going on in this episode. And great news, Jaskier's still alive. We weren't sure what happened to him at the end of episode 4. So,
yes.
So kind of great that we have him, and great that we have even more time with him and Yennefer in this episode.
Just a damaged lute is all he needs to worry about replacing.
Exactly. Yes, he can't play on his lute. That's right. That's been destroyed in the last episode. Where do we want to start with our big moments for episode 5? Who wants to kick us off? Chris, do you want to take us off?
I'll jump in. This is one that I actually really enjoyed. Mm-hmm. So it's the storyline which was kind of touched on at the end of the last episode, which is that Ciri's blood being elder blood, and elder blood was one of the main ingredients in the mutagens that create witchers, or part of the creation process for witchers.
Absolutely, yeah.
And with that, essentially, we do get Vesemir becoming a giddy schoolchild, being able to repopulate his School of the Wolf Witchers, using Ciri's blood, and how he then approaches Ciri and gets her agreement.
Yeah.
On the basis that she will be the first. And seeing that storyline play out throughout the majority of the episode, it's kind of spaced out right to the end where Geralt intervenes. Seeing this is so interesting because, okay, I don't side with Vesemir in that he kills a lot of kids with the creation.
Well, yes.
But I would like to see more witchers being born, because it is, and we're not spoiling later episodes, but there's definitely less and less witchers in the world by the end of this episode and this end of the season. So the ability to recreate an essential workforce like the witchers is important. So I really enjoy this, and I enjoy the push and pull between both Triss, Ciri, Vesemir, Geralt, the whole storyline of like, but then finding out at the end, like, Geralt just going, no, don't do this. I will be your protector. I will chain you, blah, 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 blah. You don't need to be more. You're perfect the way you are. Which is a nice cap on Ciri's aspect, which kind of like, you're great. You don't forget, you're an elder blood. And you're a magician, and you're pretty good with the sword because you're training with all the witchers. You don't need the additional enhancements.
Yeah. But I kind of like that there's that element that comes from Ciri where she's saying she wants to be like him. But what she's saying she wants to take from that is that she doesn't want to care about the past as much as she does. She doesn't want to be scared by the past. And she takes that's a process that she'll go through if she becomes a witcher. But one of the things we talked about in our last discussion was about the prequel animated movie that's available on Netflix to watch, where it kind of talks about this creation of the witchers, and many of them are lost to just the process of becoming witchers, and many of these abandoned children who were forced to go to the witchers, and many of them are lost. And it's an interesting dichotomy really in Vesemir's head. This is a process that he thought was lost to time. They haven't been able to create any witchers since the last time Kaer Morhen was sacked, which was many years ago. We don't have an exact timeline on it, but it was many years ago. And he's the father to all of these witchers in his mind anyway. He's very much wants to create more of them and wants to raise the house of the witchers back to its former greatness, I suppose. So that's why, as you say, he's a giddy schoolchild, because he suddenly realizes, wait, there's actually something I can do about this thing I thought could never continue. This kind of bloodline of the witchers for him, I think.
And also that Ciri ultimately accepts his pitch. You know, it's Triss that is, well, only if Ciri wants to. And as you say, Ciri is motivated by forming that bond with Geralt, and also to try and forget sort of everything that's happened previously, or even just to obscure what she doesn't know about her past and her background. So I kind of really like that. I did like Vesemir sort of running through how mages effectively weaponized monsters and then started to weaponize men in the form of witches in order to control the monsters that they'd weaponized. So I guess, that was just kind of that sort of futile situation that had come about from mages meddling, I guess, in weaponizing things.
It's the arms race, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, exactly.
You have nuclear weapons to defend yourself, so we'll create nuclear weapons to defend ourselves from you who have nuclear weapons, and then somebody else needs nuclear weapons to defend themselves. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy where everybody's creating greater and greater weapons, and then some of them get out of control, like the monsters have actually.
As well, in that whole process of Ciri deciding and preparing, Triss ultimately, even though Ciri wants to, does look to stop her. And we have this other ceremony, the Dolcetche, where it's, I think Triss calls it genetic memories or the Valley of the Souls. So she can find out about her past and her lineage. So trying to sort of shepherd her away from forgetting or obscuring everything to say, well, learn more about it. But it ultimately goes south quite quickly with when her visions within this memory that they walk through begin to speak to Ciri and also to Triss. And in fact, Triss is grabbed by the neck, and we see that this isn't supposed to happen, but ultimately this freaks Triss out totally, and she sees the destruction that is possible from Ciri's power here.
Yeah.
And then ultimately it's Geralt that prevents Ciri from taking the potion. He gets there in the nick of time to stop the injection from Vesemir.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I do wonder where or if this storyline is continued in future seasons. Because for those who haven't seen the animated, you're just getting very sharp shots from Geralt's point of view of when he was a kid.
Yeah.
And it's not fully touched on.
Yeah.
It's not explicitly stated that like 1 in 10 kids, 10 kids survive the process kind of thing. Like, it's not, the genocide aspect is kind of brushed over, more touched on in the anime, and probably the second season of the anime, and then the upcoming prequel series will probably dive deeper. But if you're just I'm here for Henry Cavill and The Witcher core, right? This is core, the central
The Witcher Prime
storyline.
Yes.
Witcher Prime, yes, much better. I don't know if you'll know this, and I think they're probably doing that for a reason, because I think we'll talk about it at the end of this episode of our full season review. I think they're going to come back to this. I do think that this is going to be a future beat storyline.
Yeah.
In season 3 and beyond.
Yeah, potentially it is a key formation factor of who the Witchers are. And that has been mentioned multiple times. I would 100% say, I know a lot of people turn off from animated shows because they're not interested in animation. We saw that with What If during the Marvel run, for example. Invincible, yeah. But I definitely say, you have time now between now and season 3 of The Witcher. I'd definitely say check out the animated film. It's written by one of the writers of this show, so it's directly given guidance from this show. So you can see that history. And I don't think we're going to see it in live action, partly because you're talking about kids who have been brought into the Witcher world, and they are dying from this process. So would you want to see that in live action? Probably not.
Well, the nice thing about it as well with the animation is that it's Geralt's journey.
Yeah.
And so at the end of this episode, where he's just stopped Ciri and she's explaining why she wanted to do it, he basically says that never happens. You don't lose your memories. You still have to confront them, and that's what you should be doing. So it adds that layer to Geralt within the live action version, because you've seen him go through that, and you've seen the reasons why he's gone through that. And yes, he is, he's well in there with the brotherhood of the Witchers and the bonds that he's created. We saw that with Eskel, with him dying, Eskel, but he's saying this isn't the life for you. You have Absolutely. A different journey, and you need to know who you are, where you've come from, because he still remembers that even as a Witcher.
Absolutely. And it's also a very positive take from Ciri here. One of the things that's pretty clear from that animated version of this story is that anybody could live or anybody could die. It's not 100% based on your abilities and how strong you are. So Ciri could take that injection and die instantly. Yeah. And that's the end of her story, which is, there's no guarantee here. And also, Vesemir hasn't done this in decades. They're using different processes. He's taking blood directly from elder blood. He's taking directly from her body and creating these potions. Not that Vesemir's bad at this, but it's been a long time he's out of practice. And if he has one person to practice on, it's very possible that she could die from this, and that would be the end of her story. So, so it's not like there are 100 candidates. It's just her. And I think, I don't know whether that's highlighted well enough in the show that this could have been the end of Ciri. No. Which is, Geralt is not just saying to her, you have loads of other things in your life. He's also kind of saying to her, I've seen people die that were just as strong as you before, or just as important in my life as you are.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a really good scene and really, really important for the Witchers in there.
Definitely would have been an interesting end to the show, which is like, wah, wah,
episode 5.
Ciri's dead. Oh no. Moving next season on The Witcher. There is none.
Absolutely.
But there you go. That's my point for this episode. Who wants to go next? John?
Yes, mine is the monoliths, and in particular, Istredd and Geralt. I mean, first off, we see Geralt arriving by portal into Istredd and the library where he is.
Yeah.
And I do like, here immediately, it's all to do with these new monsters that they saw close to Kaer Morhen that have the Stellarite. That, he's looking for this expert in monoliths, which is Istredd, and he has this theory that the monsters have been nesting in the monoliths since the conjunction, and ultimately, Istredd really, that theory doesn't persuade him too much, but I love that the monster's head thrown down, looking all gooey and bloody, certainly sort of does persuade Istredd to take Geralt to the monolith outside Cintra, which, interestingly, given the size of the monolith that's actually in the middle of Cintra, which is huge, I was surprised that he didn't notice that this had been destroyed, because it's only just outside just outside of Cintra. So I think Istredd
He's a bookworm. He doesn't look outside the windows. And also, that library, the windows were a bit dirty, little lies.
Well, that's
dusty.
it. That's it. I was thinking maybe he doesn't do field work, as you say. It's just literally in the books. But that they go to the...
It is hard to tell the distance to anywhere in this show, because they have the kind of ability to transport themselves as close to or as far away as they need to. So going to the monolith outside Cintra, he says he's never been there before in his life, effectively, yet he's worked in Cintra.
Exactly.
For a few years.
And is working for Cintra because he had the authority from Calenthe before Nilfgaard attacked. Yeah. And now he is kind of slightly in league with Fringilla, is Istredd, in terms of certainly saving the elves.
Exactly.
And trying to get them to Cintra as a port of refuge, really.
So I guess distance in the continent in this world is all relative, really. So, something could be 5 minutes away, or it could be a portal which travels on the other side of the continent and then 5 minutes away. But it takes about 7 minutes time.
Exactly.
So,
but I love when they get to the monolith, he sees the huge kind of cavern or canyon that's been created from the destruction of the monolith by Ciri. He says this is unprecedented, and they go down into the fissure and they don't see any nesting monsters here. And this is where I think this becomes really, I guess it's the theory of the monoliths. Istredd talks about how they have been kind of communicating with one another in the sense of the vibrations. It's this communication between the monoliths since this destruction of this one just outside of Cintra. But it ultimately comes that this conjunction that the monsters are effectively using the monoliths as gateways from their world, rather than the idea that the conjunction brought different worlds crashing together, and so they just ended up here. That these are effectively can portal your way through to other multiple worlds, where the multiverse of The Witcher, effectively, and so
that's where my head went.
Exactly. So the monoliths are conduits for the conjunction of different worlds that happened, rather than it simply being pulled and crashing together. And that's the difference that kind of Istredd gets here. And of course, this kind of gave a nice layer to the conjunction, all the different species like the elves and the dwarves and humans kind of coming together, sort of forced together. And also with a lot of what happens in the few episodes, in particular towards the end of episode 8. So it's just a nice little bit of setup, really, but it just adds to the world. Also, as well, just on a quick note, Istredd does effectively inform Geralt that Yennefer is still alive as well. So that's important.
It is very important. It is very important. I must say, I love Istredd in the show, how he's played as the scholar, because any point that there's something to investigate, he is going all in on it. You see it when they get to the monolith and see the crack in the ground, and Geralt, the Witcher, the powerful fighter, effectively is like, right, I'm jumping down there in case there are any monsters. I'll I'll go down there and fight. And Istred's going, oh no, I'm going too, because he cannot leave a mystery alone. We see that later in the season as well. But Istredd is all about finding the answers to everything. I love that side of him. But I think part of the reason why, and this show definitely benefits from multiple viewings. We watched it twice or three times for this discussion. Because there's so many theories from the cast of characters here about what's going on with the monoliths, what it is that they're actually doing. When I watched it through the first time, I was going, oh, okay, the monoliths are basically like, plug hole covers that are stopping monsters from coming through from the other side. So when Ciri, broke the monolith, she's basically opening the plug hole, and that's what's happened. But it's not exactly that. There are other nuances to it. And then the second time you see it through, you get the other theory from Istredd. Well, I caught it, the second time.
And of course, as we see Ciri's powers, being utilized effectively in the Dol Deche, she's been taken through by Triss, this activates this monolith, causing then a big rock-like, I think, Chernobog to appear and taking off into the sky. So, yes, which sadly comes around in the next episode as well.
Yes, it does. But we won't.
We're not going to spoil that just yet.
No, we'll get to that later.
Anything else on the Istredd and Geralt, or the monoliths, guys?
My bit was very quickly. I love the storylines. I love this this was not where I thought it was fully going, and it's touched on more so in the game. There's elements of it discussed in kind of books and theories, and the third game hints at places and ideas. Right. But this is very much in my opinion, very much a tentpole storyline for the TV show. Mm-hmm. And I got confused at this part of the episode. I was like, wait, is it this or is it this? And then at the end of the series, it's like, oh, it's this, this, and this, and that.
Yeah.
Cool. Now I get it. But I like how they have stretched out and they have competing theories, much like many elements of science, where you've got, they're all theories until it's proven, and they do experiments and it's proven as fact. Yeah. Cool. I did like this, but also the visual stylizing of it, where the shaking of the overall vibrations of the monolith, or what's left of the monolith happening. Yeah. Just, you can see, it's not like it was overly expensive CGI, but I think it was just well polished.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, and then when you overlay it on top of both of the actors doing great acting, it looks and feels just spectacular.
Absolutely. Another great thing about the show is how many actors they're bringing together in this second season. People haven't met each other before, and having those interactions, that exactly as you say, the reveal from Istredd that Yennefer's still alive to Geralt. He doesn't know how important that is to Geralt, at all. This is the first time he's met him, and he's being introduced through Triss. So he doesn't know all those connections until you spent some time with him. So now there's another person in this world who knows all about Geralt and who he is.
Yeah, and Geralt says, "You loved her," and he goes, "I love her." So it's kind of like, awkward. I guess the Witcher could be battering your face into the bookshelves.
Maybe. Or maybe future threesome. Hey, it's The Witcher.
It is.
Well, that is true. But there's quite a lot of developments here in the relationship of, like, Jaskier, Yen, Geralt, and with Ciri there. Like, it all gets a little kind of complicated, really.
It does, of course. Of course. I'm going to take you onto my big points for the episode.
Do.
Really, Yen and Jaskier, but to kind of kick it off, we do need to talk about Rience, this new character that's brought into the show here, who's been in prison for 10 years because he went against Ciri's grandmother, Calanthe. So tying him right back into the history of this family from Cintra, who used to run Cintra. And he's being kind of groomed for the job of finding Ciri by Lydia the sorceress. Really like this character. He's really villainous though.
Yeah.
Like he really does burn up the screen when he's on.
Yeah,
there.
he's fantastic. I loved Rience. No, I think that's a hilarious joke,
Thanks,
Derek. I just thought I would try and sort of save time by not laughing.
Sorry, John. It's just because for 10 years, I love the idea that he's sitting in this prison for 10 years, clicking his fingers, hoping that at some point in 10 years, this fire's got to pop back out of my fingers, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, that's true. But he's a great character. He really does eat up the scenery. I actually thought he reminded me a bit of the guy of Gisborne from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Oh, yes.
I thought it was the same actor, but it's not. But he's got this malevolence, cheekiness. Effectively he's been put to be a bounty hunter to find and track Ciri so that she can be traded, but he's not working for Nilfgaard. So, it's one of the first clues that he thinks he's being asked to do this on behalf of Nilfgaard, and Lydia's quite clear this is not with Nilfgaard.
Well, absolutely. He refuses to work for the White Flame is pretty much what he's saying, but Lydia convinces him it's somebody else. So, the nice mystery set up there as to who is he working for in the future. But he doesn't go after Ciri. He goes after Jaskier instead. So we get the answer to that cliffhanger, I suppose, at the end of episode 4, that who was it that took Jaskier? It is Rience. So, it's proper peril there for Jaskier with this guy who's coming at him with flaming hands. But in fair dues to Jaskier, he doesn't give up any information really to Rience, despite the pressure. You would think that Jaskier is a character that would buckle under pressure. From where we saw him last season, he's a pretty soft kind of chap.
Yeah,
he's an artist, a pretty soft kind of chap, but I suppose, given his first answer to what he thinks Rience is looking for, he's probably been under pressure quite a few times. I love this opening answer. If it's your wife, your sister, your daughter, your niece, it wasn't me. The other person must have looked something like me. So I love that that's Jaskier's instant go-to, because he obviously has been in this position a few times. But he latches onto it pretty quick what Rience could be looking for. The fact that Jaskier has been going town to town singing songs of The Witcher and songs of Yennefer and songs of Ciri as well, means that people are connecting 2 and 2 together and realizing that Jaskier may have a connection to The Witcher and a connection to this person that needs to be found. Ciri is now being looked for by multiple factions.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, in fairness, Jaskier does kind of say that he does know Geralt, but he's a man of few words. He will say one word, and then I develop it into this bountiful song of beautiful, fantastical castles and landscapes and emotions and this, that, and the other. So I really kind of like that.
Absolutely.
As well. I think, I love just the whole image in the inn as well, with Rience walking to Jaskier, who's bound on the chair, just clicking his fingers every so often.
With that fire.
And then doing it in front of his face. Using the fire to burn his finger, his plucking hand, I guess, for his loot, and he's a good bad guy.
He certainly is.
That's exactly what I was going with. That's why they introduced him so late into the season. I'm like, he's your classic villain. Yeah. Villainous villain. Mm-hmm. He's just got that this air of just menace about him. Add to that the way he's introduced, the clicking of his fingers, the fiery aspect of him, and how they framed a lot of the shots in this episode in particular to just highlight certain aspects, and the more villainous they bathe him partially in shadows while he was clicking and lighting his fingers. So you just get these shots of bursts of light, of fire, I should say. That just adds to the sinister aspect of his character.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how he's viewed. So you get that you are in the room with Jaskier as this man is slowly about to start torturing, and does start torturing, only to be interrupted.
Exactly. Being interrupted by Yen on her life-saving plan. And I really like this. This is kind of cool because I didn't think about it until afterwards. The fact that she's coming in playing the drunken wife, who's been left behind by Jaskier in a pub kind of thing. She does a great job of playing that, but it's only realizing what she does to this guy who has fire, coming out of his fingers. The fact that she sprays alcohol into his face and he sets it on fire instantly. It's a great plan from Yen to get the two of them out of there from this very powerful villain.
It's the more unconventional fire magic that she uses by using his fire magic in order to effectively fire damage his face.
And that's an important thing to bring into this about this character of Rience. He's using fire magic, and remember, over and over again, it's been said that fire magic is the chaos that they don't touch. The rest of the mages don't touch. That's what Yennefer used at the end of season 1 in the Battle of Sodden Hill. And it got rid of all of her magic. So this is a big bad guy. Instantly, you should be able to tell that because he's using fire magic at will. This clicking of the fingers, this basic use of the fire magic. So it's really important. And I love, as I say, I love how she gets out of that situation.
And Lydia kind of says why that is. It's that the users, unless they're incredibly powerful, it draws from them like a fire draws oxygen to fuel itself. So that's it was a real nice description of why it's frowned upon by Lydia.
Yeah.
I loved that the alcohol level is like poaching.
Absolutely.
It's just moonshine level stuff that she was like taking swigs of. Because to be fair, meat is not going to burn like that. Like your standard beer, not going to burn like that. Even vodka, kind of not to that. Like this is just like 90% proof alcohol.
Yeah. But remember, there was a nod to that back in episode 4 when the two of them were drinking in the bar, talking about how strong the alcohol was in there, and how
exactly.
awful it tasted because of how strong it was. So I don't think they have much of a refining process for their alcohol. But the saving of Jaskier doesn't last very long, does it? Yen is kind of captured by the lady of the night that she enlisted to find Jaskier. She's the one that turns her into the guards in the town, and she's captured. But an interesting development here. We've had Yennefer without any magic all season here, but when pushed with this voice in her mind, the Deathless Mother is able to encourage Yennefer to use a spell. Now, it's not her own magic, but she's using a spell to be drawn towards the Deathless Mother's hut. So, so it does look to Jaskier as if she has apparate, let's use the Harry Potter term, from inside. So it looks like Yennefer has used her magic for the first time in this episode, but it's actually her drawing herself towards the Deathless Mother, who's giving her this guidance that she can get her power back effectively.
So once again, Yen turns to the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I just love this descent into depravity of Yen's character that we're seeing. Like, she's fighting it. She did fight it, to be fair.
Absolutely.
In the first couple of episodes, she has fought this despair of her lack of power, which we've already discussed in our previous episode, around the first 4, of how power, or Yen's ability to control, have control, be it through her spell magic, or being able to control the room via her skills and things like that. When she is now powerless, it was starting to look like she was going to turn good. She was going to live with the elves and try and do good work there. And then when her back's against the wall, because I did think she was just going to get there and then go, "You got me out, I'm good, bye."
Right.
And that's not the case.
Well, no. There's a push from the Deathless Mother to say that if she delivers Ciri to her, she gets her magic back, effectively. And I think, again, to reiterate, the whole of the first season was Yen getting as much power as she possibly could from this world. She was becoming the most powerful mage in the entirety of the continent. And now she's got nothing.
Yeah. It's that deal that she makes, and the Deathless Mother is showing her what she can do again. It's almost like, and I'm gonna, apparate you now.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just sweetens the deal.
Exactly.
Or it tempts Yen more so for this trade to get her magic back by trading Ciri.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else from the episode that we haven't talked about? That was my major point to talk about. Anything else from the episode that we wanted to touch on before we move on to the next episode?
No, not from me.
Not from me.
John, how would you score this episode out of 5?
I'd give this 4.5 piglets out of 5. Yes, I thought I just thought this was a really great introduction of Rience. You've got the whole new Witcher creation and the obsession of Vesemir. You know, he sees the fragility of the Witcher's position. We have Jaskier being saved by Yennefer taking the deal, Triss's understanding of just how powerful Ciri is and what she might mean to this world, and of course, in the same vein as The Simpsons, we've got monoliths.
Excellent. Now, John, my notes are a bit lighter when we're doing 4 episodes at the same time. So do I want to ask you to explain why 4.5 piglets out of 5, or should I not?
I think there's a term of endearment said, I can't remember who it's to now, but I think it's Yennefer. She calls someone piglet or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff. All right. Let's move on to episode 6 of The Witcher.
Enjoy your last walk across the meadow and through the mist. Be not afraid of her, for she is your friend.
And we're back with episode 6 of The Witcher, Dear Friend, ... to give it its full title. Once again, based on the book series by Andrzej Sapkowski and the game series by CD Projekt Red, showrunner Schmidt-Hissrich. This episode is directed by Louise Hooper, a British director, many shows under her belt. But very interestingly, we will be covering another show that she has directed. She's done 2 episodes of Neil Gaiman's Sandman adaptation for Netflix. I'm so excited for that. Really,
I know.
really
we still don't have a date. You know what? It's gonna end up in March. I'm just betting you out now. It's gonna end up right first week in April. Surprise! I'm like, God damn it, no.
It'll come, and unfortunately Netflix, so it's all going to drop in one day as well.
Yep.
Which is the sad part about it. But really excited to see it, and really excited to see what Louise Hooper does over there on the Sandman.
Especially with Dream. There we go.
The episode was written by Matthew D'Ambrosio. He's been a staff writer on the entirety of this show, right from the start. Also a script coordinator on season 1 of the Umbrella Academy as well. So another Umbrella Academy alumni.
Very good.
Yeah, we're seeing where all these people are meeting. I feel like we're going to get, the post-work drinks tales where they all got together and had loads of fun together, and that's why they're all working on each other's shows,
I'm just waiting for the final Avengers moment. These are all these are all just like the smaller ones. So when we get to Endgame, where all of them come together to write the ultimate show.
Exactly. This episode was written by 75 people who've all done all the rest of the shows that we've covered on TV Podcast Industries. But John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with their synopsis for episode 6 of The Witcher, Dear Friend?
Sure.
You're my dear friend, John.
Aww. Hoping more than that. Geralt takes Ciri away from Kaer Morhen, but both are attacked by the Chernobog Geralt encountered at Cintra. Geralt's horse Roach is mortally wounded, though Geralt manages to kill the monster. At Kaer Morhen, Vesemir and Triss are ambushed by Rience, who steals the mutagens and escapes. Afterwards, Geralt puts Roach out of her misery. He and Ciri travel to the Temple of Melitelli, where Geralt hopes Ciri will learn to control her powers. They meet Yennefer there when she arrives shortly after them. Francesca successfully gives birth to the first full elfborn in years, while Cahir reveals to Fringilla that Emir is visiting Cintra. Istredd uncovers a link between Ciri and Lara Dorren, a legendary elven warrior. Yennefer, meanwhile, tells Geralt that Jaskier is in trouble and being pursued by the fire mage, whom Geralt deduces is looking for Ciri. Rience appears at the temple with the Michelet brothers, as Geralt tells Yennefer to take off with Ciri while he holds Rience off. Yennefer and Ciri lock themselves in a room where Yennefer teaches Ciri to open a portal. Meanwhile, Rience failing to get into the room, escapes, and Geralt catches up with Yennefer and Ciri as they disappear through the portal. Triss tells Tissaia of Ciri's elder blood.
Ooh, yes, a little knock-on effect of that vision back in episode 5 with Triss going to Tissaia to share all of the information effectively. You know, we kind of thought she was keeping those secrets for Geralt and what's going on with Ciri, but she goes straight back to Tissaia and tell her all of the fears that she has as to who Ciri is. It's kind of interesting, yeah.
Yes, it's not just Redanian intelligence that is working around here. And there's a little bit of a network going on from the sisterhood of Tissaia as well.
Absolutely. An interesting point, but not interesting enough to make it into our big moments of episode 6. Who wants to kick us off this time?
I'm jumping in.
I think you should.
Come on. I'm taking this one.
Yeah.
Sorry. Who knew that there was going to be pest control in this episode? Yes. There are no more cockroaches in anything in The Witcher.
Chris.
There are no bugs. There's... What the hell?
You turned the saddest moment of the episode into a joke, Chris. How did you do
I know, because it's how I deal with pain and loss.
I love that from the last episodes from our first part of this season, we were saying, oh, maybe this is where Roach will become more of a fully fledged character.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, as you can tell, we didn't even watch ahead because, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No. I can't believe this. Roach is such an integral part of this story of who the character is, of the books, of the TV show, of the first season of the TV show, and to the first episode of season 2, and then the game. There's so much about Roach. It's kind of like in Star Wars when they killed Princess Leia. Spoilers.
I was like, when did they do that? Oh, yeah.
I love the fact that after Geralt does kill the Chernobog, that he's like, where are my swords? Rather than quick, let's get back to Roach. Well,
Exactly. I'm like, can you not? There's magic. No, Ciri not going to try. No, nothing. Okay.
I was thinking there was going to be a little potion or some kind of wild flowers, so just in the forest.
Poultice the wound, poultice, quickly, wrap them up.
Well, now I will say I love that they specifically answered that in dialogue where Ciri goes, is there anything you can do for Roach? And Geralt just reaches for his dagger to stab him in the throat. It's like, but it is like putting Roach out of her misery is really important, of course. She's absolutely destroyed here. But I do think, and I'd love to talk to someone who's read more of the book series, but I do think this is absolutely a product of the games and the gamers who've played The Witcher as to why people care for Roach as a character of the horse, because genuinely you can play that game for hundreds of hours. You can sink so many hours into that game and you spend so much time with just Geralt and Roach, and he talks to Roach in the game. That's kind of where you get a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the story coming out about this world and this universe. I know Roach plays a part in some of the short stories, particularly the early stories from The Witcher, but this world is so big, and you can see it from the TV show, how many characters are in there and many stories are in there that they haven't, I don't think, injected that in the show at all, as to why Roach is important. You know it's important because it's his steed. You know, it's like the Lone Ranger and Silver of this universe. You know, he's never seen without Roach, you know, but I don't think it's as important to this universe that his horse be a major character. And Roach dying here is really sad for fans of the game, but I don't think, given everybody else that dies in the show, I don't think it's as massive a moment for readers of the book or watchers of the show as it is for gamers particularly.
But they tried. That's the thing. From episode 1, they're telling you that Roach is a character unto itself through Geralt and Ciri talking about Roach, and kind of Roach just being there and Ciri talking to Roach, and they tried to build it up. So it's a variation of a Game of Thrones play, George R. R. Martin, where you're not expecting a main character death. Okay. And to an element, it is a main character death. It is, as you said, it's his steed. It's hi ho Silver away. Hey ho Roach, let's go. Like, it's that kind of element. And yes, it is more video game because you do spend so much time, and it is that narration point where he talks to Roach a lot.
Yeah, it's basically like the Witcher's Millennium Falcon being blown out of space by a Star Destroyer.
Yeah, and it's just like you can get another Millennium Falcon, but it's not the Millennium Falcon. It's another type of that. So you can get another horse.
Yeah, be called Frank.
And I'm hoping in season 3 he's gonna get Roachette or Little Roach or Mini Roach, like he gets a pony.
Maybe.
This is a tiny, I don't know, but just something that calls back to Roach. Bug, there you go. Ladybug, there, that's a different one. But yeah, I just thought it was left of field, and I did think when they, as you said, that moment where Ciri's like, can you do anything? And he takes his knife, I was like, this season is turning dark.
Well,
and that was the moment when it really kind of landed with me, and that feeling continued for the rest of the season.
Well, yes, absolutely. They have that big kind of pivot moment for the show. But I do love the words that Geralt says to Roach. When you're riding across that final field, be not afraid of who you meet. She is a friend. I think it's a lovely calming of the horse as it passes on. And I think that's the thing that we were talking about before, that they haven't really established that well in the show, but kind of like the Rohirrim in Lord of the Rings, Geralt is speaking to Roach as an equal. He's able to talk to him, and Roach can understand exactly what Geralt is saying to him. This isn't a master and a pet. This is another being that he's communicating with, just like anybody else in the continent. So when he's saying that to her, it is a direct conversation. It's not just a platitude. It is going into the ears, but a really sad moment. But definitely when we saw the attack, and again, you don't know how much it is to do with what they can and can't show in the brutality of what's going on in this moment with the Chernobog. There's loads of CGI going on. There's loads of blood going on, but Roach reels up in the air and Ciri runs away from her. And both of us watching it thought, Roach is fine. Roach will be found in a field miles away. And then after the battle, it's you see Roach on the ground, and you go, this isn't fine. That character again, unfortunately. But
they're going to have to tell the rest of the other kind of Witchers mounts, she went to a good farm upstate. Beside Nilfgaard, she's in a farm there for in retirement. I know, I'm hoping they make a joke like that in the next season. Oh, how's your steed? Not.
But it is a very sad moment from the episode. Sad to say goodbye to
definitely
Rich, from here. John, how about yourself? What's your big moment from the episode?
It's something has shifted at Nilfgaard. It's we see right at the end of episode 5. Actually, we see Cahir returning through the Elven Railroad to Cintra, and we also see both Fringilla and Francesca, the Elven Queen, really solidifying their partnership as they had done in the forest at the hut of the Deathless Mother. But what I really enjoyed with this episode was just that how things were beginning to change, both with the return of Cahir, and we have Francesca saying to Fringilla that something has changed. She tries to put it diplomatically to Fringilla that you seem smaller with Cahir around, that she isn't the leader, and that her position has been questioned with the return of Cahir, where he's questioning sort of her eyes on the mission of the White Flame, which is to get Ciri, and instead she's built this partnership and alliance with the elves. So there's that relationship with Cahir as well, a little strained after Sodden Field and his imprisonment, escape, and return. Things have moved on, but it's also that it's going to the army generals as well, and maybe it's just they've been given a shot of Dutch courage with the return of Cahir, their commander, but they're also not happy with Fringilla's leadership and with the alliance with the elves. So I really liked how all this was sort of shifting along, and just that hint. That's all you kind of really got here, because it plays out, through the next few episodes, but it's the hint that something has shifted, that something has changed, and that actually, it's the elven predicament as much as Fringilla's that is more fragile, or is becoming more fragile with the return of Cahir. Because his focus is on Ciri. He's happy to use the elves, but he's not really, he's not got that link like Fringilla has with Francesca. So I really like that. Plus, then the other thing that really is the unknown variable for this partnership becomes the baby that's being carried by Francesca as well. And that really is a great ending with Cahir and Fringilla on a balcony overlooking all the elves, celebrating the birth and that a live birth of an elven baby. And the warning by Cahir to Fringilla about its impact on the alliance.
Yeah, but you did say it a moment ago. I was going to just interrupt you a second ago. You did say Cahir is not seeing it as an alliance with the elves. You absolutely said it correctly. Cahir is seeing it as he is willing to use the elves for his purpose and the purpose of Nilfgaard. Whereas Fringilla promised the elves their safety and a team up and an alliance with Nilfgaard for their common goals. It's very clear here that that's not what's happening. This is why Filavandrel, the husband of the queen of the elves, that's why he's now questioning what's going on with this group. He's being told to train all of the elves in human fighting styles, as if they're going to now be the forward guard, effectively, like has happened to many, many communities that have been on the outs, being thrown as the attacking army, so they can be wiped out instead of the Nilfgaardians, effectively. So it's what used to happen in to immigrant families coming over to America. They used to be just shipped back out to wars without being allowed into the country to earn their ability to stay there.
Exactly. So, and you see Cahir's treatment of Dara that he is fighting with.
Well, absolutely. I've specifically written that in my notes. Cahir fights Dara just to prove that he's still an a-hole. We had 3 episodes or 4 episodes where you kind of go, Cahir, like, he's gone through a lot. He was tortured. Is this maybe a nice guy? Is he turning? No. In this episode, he absolutely proves that he's still the a-hole we saw in season 1.
God, they hammer that home.
Yes, they do.
Because that's the point. That was the whole element of this this part of the storyline, is just to remind you that where his alliance kind of lies, i.e. with the White Flame, and that he is the bad guy. Because they kind of want you to think, and they make you question a lot throughout the first half of this season of who's actually good, who is actually bad. And they're trying to, not so subtly, just go, no, most of Nilfgaard are just complete a-holes. That's it. Like, that's who they are. They are not the good guys. They are the Nazis. They are the bad guys, but they are using, and they're just like, hey, no, they're not saving the elves. They're using the elves as cannon fodder, and the generals alone, just showing the evilness of the general, the I forget his name, who pushes who he considers another elf off the battlement, just to hang her because she snuck in and they couldn't find her papers.
Well, that's it. Underlying all of this is, even though the Nilfgaardians are taking in elves as refugees into Cintra as a safe haven, it's all at the direction, all at the leadership of Fringilla. And underneath this is seething resentment and anti-elven sentiment from the generals, and you just hear it in their voice. And even with Cahir's sparring with Dara, he says, "You're just fairies." And Philandriel says, "Well, you put all of those in the ground." So
that's not possible. You wiped them out.
Yeah,
exactly.
it all comes out in the end. This underlying resentment, fear, bigotry towards Elvens, even by the Nilfgaardians, and that's because it is Fringilla is being questioned here by the generals, by Cahir. There is, her rock is in this partnership with Francesca, and ultimately with the arrival of the baby, Cahir's warning is that this will impact the alliance, this partnership that has been created by Fringilla. And I mean, Cahir, yes, his aim is to find Ciri, and it's the orders of the White Flame.
Yeah.
But he is saying, these things happen in war, that you've had to be responsive to the situation, but now that I'm back, we're back on mission.
This is the mission that we have to
You
follow.
know.
Remember, he went off on that mission on his own last season, willing to sacrifice himself to get Ciri. So this is absolutely priority number one for him. So, that's a really interesting point. Excellent. Anything else about Francesca and Fringilla and the situation in Nilfgaard at all?
No, not from me.
I want to talk about my new favorite character in The Witcher.
Roach? Oh, I'm sorry to tell you.
My new favorite character is Nenneke in the House of Militele. I absolutely loved her from the introduction of her. Her opening moments, the idea that she was a guide for Geralt as he was growing up, and he wants to share that with Ciri and wants to give her the same kind of life that he had, the good points at least. Which I just thought was really good after all of the complaining from Ciri on the road to the house of Militele, that he doesn't listen to her and doesn't know what she wants. I thought it was a good outcome that they get to this place where there's a lot of relaxation going on, and there's a lot of moments to learn and a lot of moments to discover and investigate what's going on.
Yeah,
Something that Ciri hasn't really had since being brought by Geralt to Kaer Morhen.
It feels like the spa temple of the continent, where you go for relaxing, hot stone massage, a bit of mud bathing, and so on. It's all quite zen.
It feels like what we're going to be doing in the next on our holidays.
Exactly.
In the next, 2 weeks.
But what's really what I love ultimately about it, though, is that say that, and there is that to it, but ultimately Nenneke does have another side to her.
Oh, absolutely. I just love her reaction where she's sitting with Ciri, getting the story and, paying full attention with a bit of mint tea, getting all the details from her, and then takes it all in and gives Ciri some guidance and, tells her that she could be the person that saves this world with the right guidance. Every time she speaks to Ciri, she speaks in those kind of hushed tones where it's a guiding mother, but of course, when talking to Geralt about her findings from Ciri, she basically can't find a way that this situation isn't totally messed up for Geralt, that there's going to be everybody in the entire continent is going to want Ciri, and there's nothing he can do about it.
There is a generous sprinkling of the F words throughout her sentences, which, especially when she's speaking so frankly with Geralt about Ciri, which I love. She's an effing tinderbox. It's straight to the point, and yet, as you say, it contrasts with her being really supportive, trying to tell her what she should do, sending her off with the historian, who's got a big tool. It was just really, really good. I must say, Nenneke, I hope is around again, because she's a great priestess here.
She certainly
great
is.
character.
She certainly is, and she does give a good, clear bit of guidance to Geralt as well, which I really liked. This idea that he has set himself as the protector of Ciri. He's set himself, that is his role now. He will block the world from her. He'll wrap her up in cotton wool, like a lot of parents try to do when they're new parents. He'll wrap her up in cotton wool and make sure that nobody in the world can harm her. And the guidance from Nenneke is, no, that's the wrong way to go about it. You need to find the thing that's missing from her life and help her with that, not just become her protector. We know she doesn't need protection. She needs training because she's already strong. She needs training in magic. She needs training in what the Witchers can teach her. And she needs to know her history and needs to understand where she comes from. But she doesn't need a man-at-arms standing beside her just fighting off everything in the world. So Nenneke is giving the guidance that he needs to find the thing that's most important, that's missing from her life to make her, to improve her and to help her out, I suppose.
Yeah. And this is so important, as we know later. But just in terms of this episode, it speaks volumes to the fact that she, as you said, she doesn't need a protector anymore. Yeah. She is somewhat powerful. If you take chaos, she's uncontrolled chaos.
Yeah.
But by the end of this episode, she really is learning to control that chaos.
Yeah.
She creates that portal with Yen, and she understands that what's needed as well. So when Geralt tells her to run, she doesn't argue anymore. And that again calls back to earlier in the season where he turned around with, when I tell you to run, you run. Yep. No arguing anymore. But she holds her own for a split second with the bad guys. She does destroy the magical artifact, which I love is called back. What happened to that? She did.
Yeah. Things tend to break around here. Yeah, absolutely. She's massively powerful. That's exactly it. They're looking at her. Rience arrives at the house, to take his prize, effectively, bringing along lots of ruffians with him. What are you going to do about it, little girl, kind of thing is how he reacts to Ciri. And she bonks one of them directly over the head to take him out. That's Ciri. She will use what's in the room. She's a strong character. So this guidance is absolutely right from Nenneke to Geralt. What is it that he can actually do for her, rather than just taking out a sword and fighting everything that comes at her? That's not a purpose. That's not going to help Ciri in any way. But the House of Militelli, that is my major point about Nenneke, but the House of Militelli itself is a massive location, really, for the show now, because we get the meeting of our three major characters. And I know Jaskier is an interesting character in the show, I get it, but this is the first time all three characters have been in the room together in the entirety of the season. Yennefer, Ciri, and Geralt together, trying to understand their relationship, and the relationship and the connection between each other. That's where the name of the episode comes from, Dear Friend, because that is how Geralt boils down the relationship with Yennefer.
This is my dear friend.
Yes. Which I love, because again, it's Geralt a little bit off, not wanting to go into his personal life, keeping secrets a little bit. There's way too much history with Yennefer to explain in a simple, who is this person?
Exactly. And he doesn't, the great thing when they're sat with Ciri at the table and there's lots of eyes and narrowing and shifting, that Geralt doesn't know what Yennefer's true intentions are. He asks the question, why are you here? Straight off. As you say, way too much history and unsure of what the present means for her to be there, to just turn up, because he's only found out she's still alive. And then all of a sudden she's there. So I love that they're reunited. I love that, he is also happy in his own way, but that there's an unknownness about where their friendships are, with all three of them, and how they're all brought together. So I like that. But having said that, I like Ciri picking up on, I shall leave you two now, and go back to my room
I'll walk with you. No, you stay there.
Exactly.
I'm not going to be a third wheel. It's okay.
Absolutely.
I do forget that the first season was 30, 40 years from when he accepts the child of surprise to when Ciri is born, to all the way when that happens at the end. So it is I do forget, you think it's it's a year or two. No, season 1 happens over the course of 30 something, 40 years. They do know each other and have had relationships for years, because witchers and mages age slowly. That's the one that always throws me off. Because Jaskier even only joins them towards the end of that storyline.
Yeah, but you're totally right. But it is just great to see them all back together and trying to resolve these in just a conversation between them. And there is that awesome battle in the House of Militelli as well, where we have the gang come in. I know I kind of mentioned it there, but I do really like this battle because it is Geralt without weapons for the most part. He eventually gets his hands on the other people's weapons, but he's weaponless. He doesn't have any of his tools that he.
Well, he is injured quite badly. Nenneker offers to heal him, post the battle. Yeah. But it's a great fight scene, and I just the meeting as well with Rience, who is not only attacking Ciri, but also had attacked Kaer Morhen previously to get the vial with the mutagen potion with Ciri's blood in it. So Vesemir injured as well. Yeah. So really, he's going all out in trying to get Ciri, almost a bit like the Black Knight, the Cahir in season 1, in terms of the intensity there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to give a quick hat tip to Louise Hooper, the director. Like, just the style she uses for this fight, where, like, she even does the center point spin. I don't know what the best way, where basically Geralt rolls over a table and the camera spins with him. Yeah. So he's always at a center point. And then even with his fist and... like he is the center point, so his fist is then moving at different speed. Just beautiful cinematography, just that really makes it feel kinetic. Yeah. I think is the best way of putting it. Very kinetic, fast. It reminded me of Henry Cavill in Mission Impossible, where he that iconic one where he kind of reloads his guns, i.e. his fists. Yeah. It reminded me of that because it was just like, oh, it's mano a mano here. Let's go. Yeah. There's no magic. He does use magic and everything, but there's very few parts. But anyway, absolutely beautiful.
Really good.
There is a great magic sword combo as well, where he blasts one of the brothers that are attacking, and then he moves out of the way and puts his sword so that it goes straight through his head. So I thought that was pretty imaginative fighting from Geralt. Really liked it, to be honest. And the other thing I noticed is these brothers, the Michelet brothers. It's actually at the start of the next episode. They talk about having found Redanian coppers on them. I know we've been talking about Vildefort, but there's also another possibility where the master of Rience, it could be on the Redanian side as well. Maybe Redanian intelligence or the king. So just to add in another candidate to the Lord that is helping Rience here.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots and lots of stuff happened in this episode. Probably more stuff to talk about, but we can't get to everything, unfortunately, in this structure for the episode. I do just want to mention, as I said last episode, the scholarly part of Istredd in this episode. He's now been presented with another new mystery here. He's trying to work out what's going on between Geralt and Ciri and who she is and why she's important and what's going on there, and pays a visit to Fen and Codringer. The reason I want to point it out, and we can possibly talk about what his findings are, but just really interesting to see Simon Callow again in another show that we're covering. We saw him in the opening episode of Hawkeye just before Christmas, and here he's playing Codringer in this show. So it's really nice to see him getting all that work in all these worlds of fantasy, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, it's really good seeing him here. And actually, because he's got a very particular delivery and voice. And to begin with, when we first meet him as Codringer, and then it sounds a little different, actually, I thought. I mean, there's a bit of it then sneaks in terms of how he delivers. So, but I really enjoyed this. And I think we do need to point out from this mystery that Istredd is investigating, because he says to them straight from the off, I'm looking for information on a Witcher, a monolith, a mysterious girl, and Nilfgaard. Yeah. And it's that Ciri is effectively has an elven lineage that has been hidden by her grandmother, Calanthea, and is a generational weapon built by elves and connected to Lara Doran, who is this sort of legendary elf.
Yes, that's a really interesting idea.
Yeah.
The idea of kind of planting a seed for future generations for it pays off. This idea that there will be a weapon in 10 generations. So it's almost a massive threat of make hay while the sun shines. You'll only have 10 generations. And the idea that her grandmother would have hidden their elven lineage so you wouldn't actually know when that 10th generation comes up, right? If you don't know which is the next generation, you're not going to know when this weapon is created and where she comes from. So,
no, absolutely.
Really
Absolutely. Yeah.
Really interesting findings. Again, probably talk about this episode more, and there's probably bits that we've missed. But overall, John, what would you rate this episode?
I thought this was really good. Again, I mean, this is 4.5 deathly winnies out of 5 for sure. Again, I found when I watched these 4 episodes for the second time and it was all in one run rather than separated and spaced out, they flowed almost as a single, just so well together in terms of the story as it unfolded. And I think this is the case here, certainly around Fringilla and Francesca and what's going on at Cintra, but also with Rience coming in twice in this episode, and the visit to Melitelli as well with the fantastic Neneka. It was all just really it was fast paced, it was action packed, it was full of information, the fighting was great, the acting was great. I just thought it was superb. So 4.5 deathly winnies out of 5. Poor
I
Roach.
agree. They put the pedal on now. And it's slowly picking up speed and momentum. And that continues until the end of episode 8. As we go into episode 7 of our review.
I think we're very much at speed now for the rest of the season. There's so much going on in these episodes. And as we said before, connecting exactly what the truth of Ciri is and exactly where everybody on the continent is and in their knowledge of her or their approach to her it has been the really interesting part of this part of the season. Let's get on to our episode 7 discussion.
She's in league with the Deathless Mother.
Well, she sounds like a hoot. Who is the Deathless Mother, Geralt?
Vesemir. The first witches were hired to imprison her. They entombed her in her hut.
But someone's gone and opened up the door. That someone being...
She wouldn't.
She would. What? Sacrifice your child surprise to get her magic back? You bet your bloated biceps she would.
Welcome back. We're on to episode 7 of The Witcher, Vesemir. I haven't pronounced that correctly, haven't I?
I think so. That's how I would pronounce it, so I guess... Well, at least we're consistently off. If we
I think there you go. Throughout the course of this episode, we will call it every pronunciation available.
We may.
And still probably not get it correct.
But at least we're all aligned at the beginning of the show on how we're going to pronounce it, which is a good thing, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
This episode was directed again by Louise Hooper, who directed episode 6. Written this time by Mike Ostrowski. He's a producer of the show for the whole of this season and wrote season 1, episode 7 of The Witcher as well. So the penultimate episode of season 1.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, lots of people staying on board from season 1, which is great to see. John, do you want to give us the synopsis for episode 7, Vesemir?
Sure. Yennefer and Ciri portal to the home of a woman who took Ciri in and discover the family was murdered by Rience. Geralt frees Jaskier from prison and asks for help finding Yennefer and Ciri, where Jaskier tells Geralt about Yennefer's lost magic and her muttered incantation. Geralt recognizes the incantation and realizes Yennefer is in league with the Deathless Mother, or Vesemir, a demon that feeds on pain. The two meet up and join with Yarpen Zigrin's dwarven crew. The birth of Francesca's baby causes the elves to rethink priorities, and they decide to focus on rebuilding instead of fighting for Nilfgaard. Francesca tells a concerned Fringilla that she values the bond of blood over friendship. Fringilla travels to Artusa to ask her uncle Artorius for help. hoping their bond of blood will sway him, but Artorias dismisses her, suggesting she never had power in Nilfgaard to begin with. Frustrated with her slipping grasp on power, Fringilla assassinates 4 of the White Flame's generals and intimidates Cahir into vouching for her to the Emperor. On the outskirts of Cintra, Ciri inadvertently reads Yennefer's mind and sees her betrayal. Upset, Ciri has an outburst that alerts a nearby Nilfgaardian patrol, but Geralt, Jaskier and Jarpen arrive in time to defeat them. Geralt draws his blade on Yennefer and tells Jarpen and Jaskier to take Ciri back to safety at Kaer Morhen. Later, in the castle at Cintra, Francesca awakens to find her baby murdered. Her outburst of pain gives Vesemir the strength to break free from her hut prison, as the Deathless Mother inhabits and takes hold of her new host, Ciri.
Ooh, big penultimate episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Juicy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Juicy.
Bloody, if you will, as well.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I kind of love this revelation in a way, and I know it should have been clearer from the start of the Deathless Mother arc, let's say, but I kind of love this revelation that she's feeding on their pain, and that she's forcing each of the 3 that she's made the pact with into doing things that they wouldn't do really without her guidance or her promises, I suppose, to them. And that's what gets her free. I think that's a really interesting development in the Witcher story. Where we start for the big moments. John, do you want to talk about the Deathless Mother herself?
Yes, it is the release of the Deathless Mother. And I mean, it is that the pain has, in a sense, it's built up. You know, you have, it all culminates with the death of the elven baby, the hope that has been pinned on the elven race, but also Francesca's utter grief, as well as Flandriel's grief as well, of finding their baby, their hope murdered. And this is just so, like, just builds up so nicely. I love that it goes back to the hut on chicken legs, which just shows her escaping and disintegrating into that fiery burst that then floats around. I just thought that was a really great effect to sort of characterize this entity that is the Deathless Mother. And as I say, it is not only Francesca, but it's Yennefer's guilt, having seen Ciri's power, realizing the potential, what she has made her feel, and that betrayal being found out. It is that feeding into the Deathless Mother as well. It is Fringilla's precarious position. You know, she's banked her ascendancy in the eyes of the White Flame on everything, and what that is on a cusp of being broken until she assassinates the generals. But it's all feeding into the Deathless Mother, and I love this idea of the demon that feeds on pain and finds another host in the form of Ciri. And it's just the great moment where she's, riding back to Kaer Morhen, and you see the flames wisping through the woods, and just kind of entering into her with her eyes going green. Like, this is a powerful entity, the Deathless Mother, and I just loved how it was captured through this episode. Just that building and building and building, and having the realization from Geralt that she is in league with Jaskier, him understanding that incantation, but Jaskier thinking that maybe Yennefer doesn't have that Jaskier believes that she's lied to him because of the previous episode where she portals out from being imprisoned. So I really liked all of this, and just what it means as well for Geralt's relationship with Yennefer. I mean, ultimately he does draw his blade on her, and realizes the betrayal of Yennefer to effectively his ward, as you know. Yeah. So this really had a big implication, and you know, is fueling a lot between the 3 or 4 main characters. Absolutely. And I thought it was great moment in this show.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it is really important here that, you know, at the end of last episode when Yennefer is taking Ciri away, it's, you know, it's almost like father handing over the child to the mother, because they've rekindled their relationship a bit. They've at least mended bridges at that stage, and he believed that if there was anyone that Ciri was safe with, it's Yennefer. They had that conversation with Nenneke in the house in last episode, where she was saying, "Do you think that Yennefer would harm Ciri?" And effectively, Geralt is depending on his past history with her and saying she wouldn't. That would be the furthest thing for her mind, and yet he finds out now that he's trusted her again when he shouldn't have.
And the character that, you know, Yennefer, what she did to gain that power in season 1, and having lost it, the desperation of her to have that, and ultimately it's kind of a real nice moment, at least for Yennefer, where she realizes that same feeling comes from her seeing Ciri use that power, whether it was from the portal out of harm's way at Melitelli, but also when you just have that moment with Ciri trying to raise the wooden bridge up out of the river, and it doesn't work. But she teleports them just by screaming. So I just thought that was nice, because it's in that moment where Yennefer says, you know, never doubt yourself, always hold on to that power that you have. She recognizes in a sense a bit of herself in Ciri.
Yeah. When you have this really much power, don't apologize for it. Yeah, I love that, because it's effectively Yennefer trying to teach her to raise a bridge out of the water, and, you know, Ciri has a much better solution. Why don't we just transport our horses and ourselves to the other side of the river? We can just do that, right? Yeah. Without even verbalizing that. I think that's really interesting. I will say though, the budget on this show for contact lenses is just increased. All 3 major characters now have different color eyes than their natural eyes.
Yeah. And that's not including, like, the additional ones that Geralt has to get when he kills the potioned.
Absolutely.
It's like, where you're like, he's got an extra set where it goes even blacker.
Yeah.
No. I love this storyline. Taking it first with the Deathless Mother, like, she's not a witch. She's a demon. She was entrapped. The storyline just kept building and building and building and building. And it was this fine narrative, really well constructed, that, like the layers of an onion, like they say about all good stories, kind of have many layers. We consistently find that what you thought were the motives for the villain were actually beyond what you actually believed. There was plots under plots under plots, and culminating in this escape where she doesn't even need Yennefer. Because you thought, like, she was trapped by the Witchers in the past, and, like, you saw the 3 skeletons that housed her tomb. It was all just building and building to what I was not expecting. As I said in the last episode, they decided to start going dark. Killing a baby. Pretty dark. I was expecting, shadowy figure, they're going to steal the baby. That's going to be partially into next season. Getting the first full elf born baby, like, home safe. That's how I, like, my brain started going quickly. Like, this is how they're going to continue it on. Like, with Geralt has to find the firstborn elf, and, like, that would be Yennefer's penance for this season or next season to get the child. Nope. Nope. Like, we're going to just turn all the elves against human again. Full on war. And just how this built to that heartbreaking moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I say heartbreaking was just even Geralt with his sword to Yen. And he's like, Ciri, just go. And he's not even budging. He's just staring down Yen.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where sometimes I question the two of them as this kind of couple and how that is portrayed.
Yeah.
And I think it's more just that Geralt is supposed to be this very stoic man of this beast. And Yen is this stoic, powerful witch or mage. And how they interact over the years. This one scene shows how close they were and how hurt Geralt is. Because essentially, as you said, it's that mother-father.
Yeah.
The mother just ran off with the kid to potentially try and kill the kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the father found out and stopped her. And the father's like, how could you do this?
Exactly. How could I not have known this about you, that you could have been this bad? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And because it null and voids so much of their feelings, literally 24 hours before.
Yeah.
He's gone from she was dead to, again, okay, this say the space of 72 hours. I think it's a bit less. Mm-hmm. He's gone from she was dead, she's alive. Oh my God, I found her. Oh my God, this is great. Oh my God, she just stole my child. Yeah. And now it's at the end of this episode, it's, we gotta go kill the first demon ever that you made a deal with on top of that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I think their relationship status on Facebook would be, it's complicated, right? Yeah, there you go.
Well done, actually. That's good.
Exactly.
Very on point. I like that.
The triangle is not harmonious by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, the other thing as well, it's, I do like, Jaskier is kind of saying as well, people do strange things, say strange things when backed into a corner. Like, he is trying to, on their sort of travels with the Arpin's, dwarven crew, but it's such a great shot with the sword to her throat.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that's really nice throughout this episode is just the whispering in the ear from the Deathless Mother to the protagonists from her chicken-legged hut, basically.
Absolutely, that's a really good little layer in.
Yeah, it really is.
On the show, it really gives you a sense of how she's finding ways to manipulate them to what she wants. Really interesting. Anything else on the Deathless Mother, Chris?
Oh, nothing much. Like, we could speak for hours on this episode.
I think we could. But Chris, do you want to take us on to your big moment for the episode then?
Yeah, mine is very much just the realignment of the stars, bringing Jaskier the Bard and Geralt the Witcher back together again.
Absolutely. And
getting that emotional... Jaskier is the one that I think was missing a lot in this season.
Yeah.
Jaskier was the emotional foil that was missing a lot in this season.
Mm-hmm.
That for all the dark, despair, death, all that aspects, he was the comedic foil.
Yeah.
That made you laugh. That was able to bring a slight silver lining to a lot of the dark clouds that is the Witcher's world.
And he softened the edges of Geralt as well, which is really necessary for a character as stoic as he is.
Yeah, who grunts a lot.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But you're right, that moment when they see each other, and then you can see that Jaskier's not a big fan of Geralt. He says it to him. The last time we met, you basically told me to get out of there. He basically got rid of me. And then he instantly says, screw it, and the two of them hug, and they have that moment of they're back together again. Geralt's apologizing in that moment to him in the wordless way that he does.
And he does apologize later on.
On the horse, which was the huge moment that I was like, I wasn't expecting that. And then what you see is Jaskier make light of that. Like, his follow-up lines were along the lines of, oh my God, you're just being too emotional now. Come on, now stop. And you see this smile creep across Geralt's face. And Henry Cavill does a great... You start to see the cracks in what is that very, like, Witcher-esque emotionless that Ciri loves him for, where he's like, no, there's actually more to it. But then, like, the reason I love this whole storyline with Jaskier is he brings the music, which again, I do love. It's not toss a coin to your Witcher, but it's still pretty good. But he's speaking to the mice. So again, what we're getting is these pretty much dark moments a few minutes before, rolling straight into this man singing to his mice. And when he gets this elation, he's sprung from the joint by Geralt. He pauses, runs back in and says goodbye to the mice. And I'm like, that's why you need this Jaskier character throughout.
Absolutely.
And I'm hoping he continues into the next season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's as I said, he's the foil. He's the yin to what is a very dark and emotional yang.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a great character. That scene really could belong in a Disney movie, talking to four mice or singing along with four mice. He compliments them on their harmonies. So sing along.
Well, hold on. Two of them were out of pitch. Yeah. One of them was pretty good.
and also, of course, if it wasn't for the song itself, I doubt that song would be in a Disney movie. It can't even appear in our podcast for considering the words that are in it.
I so wish it
but
could.
it's really good. It's really good fun with Jaskier. I also love that he can't resist at the first opportunity to strip off in front of Geralt. That's
he got his abs back.
Another confirmation of their relationship there.
He does love him. He does love him.
Well,
he is happy for the Geralt.
Yeah, well, his nipples could hang pictures from
That's
after
right.
getting into that cold water. Or is it just because he's in the presence of Geralt? Who knows?
I think it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. But that's really it. I think that my big point is just having that the iconic duo brought back.
Yeah.
He is very much a Robin to the girl. You could say Ciri is probably more. He's the Nightwing. He was the original Ciri. Yeah. There you go. He's the Nightwing, where Ciri is the Robin.
Okay. When you said Robin, I immediately went Robin Hood, so I was thinking because he could be the Will Scarlet because he does have the Scarlet jacket and so on. But
Will
I can see
Scarlet
it.
is the betrayer, so that would be
yeah, but they get back together again. So
there's loads of possibilities. Yeah, he's a good sidekick, but he certainly isn't the best man with a sword around Geralt overall. Also, nice to see the return of Yarp and Zigrin from last season. They were in the dragon episode last season. A really brutal character. Great to see them all in action. His whole crew. I also like the fact that they offer Geralt a role, offer him a job working with the crew as well. And Geralt really politely goes, "Oh no, I'm on a mission right now, but maybe next time," which I think is great.
I enjoyed Jaskier flirting with the female dwarf.
yeah, with the beard.
That was the best with the beard. He was like, "Hell yeah," and you're just like, "Oh god." Jaskier, come on. After just nearly getting destroyed because you were flirting, thinking a mage was coming after you for flirting with a wife, a sister, a daughter, and you're like, oof, okay.
Absolutely. And also this is where Geralt picks up his new horse. His replacement for Roach is in this episode as well. Very curly hair for a horse, I thought, but maybe that's just me. I don't know horses very well.
It's just styled that way,
It seemed like it had a perm.
A little bit of a perm. It's an 80s horse.
But it was a blowout, actually.
But I did think it was a little bit odd that Geralt got his horse to go on this mission and the whole crew went with him and Jaskier walks alongside the horse. I was like, why would you
I said the same thing.
I was like,
would you... Exactly. Or put him in the cart. Because they're going very slowly.
They're going at his pace, basically. If you just put him on the back of the horse, you could have gone a little bit faster. But hey, at least he has a new steed for the ride back to Kaer Morhen, I guess.
Yeah.
Excellent.
What about yourself, Derek? That's everything from my side. What is your final point?
I've taken a lot of big points in our discussions about these episodes so far, and I think nothing bigger than this moment with Fringilla. I think this moment, it was shockingly good. It's just the use of her power and how dark it goes in this scene where all of the heads of the Nilfgaardians are in a room together chatting away about what they're going to do about the elves and what their plan is going to be. And then the moment where everything stops, as they've all effectively downed their drink, and everybody just stops except for their eyes.
Yeah, that was so creepy.
To show them what she's done, she calls back to her training, saying most of it was pretty boring. I didn't really like what I was being trained to do as a mage, except one thing. I did learn botany. I did learn the possibility of paralyzing people with this plant. So I thought that was really interesting. And then the brutality that she carries out, which would have anybody screaming. On all of these paralyzed people who can only watch each other die in slow motion almost, is amazingly realized. And leaving Cahir alive, just explaining to him what she's just done, effectively explaining to him that look how easy it was to get to the rest of them. You no longer have power here. You no longer have power over me. And your responsibility now is making sure that the White Flame, our leader, knows exactly who I am and what my importance is to our mission. I loved it. I loved this moment.
And it's all on the back of her uncle as well, Artorias, back at Artusa, effectively dismissing what she's done. That she aligned with Nilfgaard, but as well that really she's never had any power in that relationship anyway, because it is all about what the White Flame wants, and she was wrong to think that she could achieve that. Yeah. So she's completely sort of down and frustrated with that power slipping away.
Yeah, and she kind of called it out earlier on in the season in their conversation with Francesca. She called out that really what she was trained to do was whisper into the ears of powerful people to guide them in what Artusa wanted them to do. Effectively, that was her only job, and that's what she was trained for, and she felt the frustration of that. But now she's showing what power she really has, and how far she's willing to go.
And in fairness, like with the knives, or with all the sharp implements that she has, I mean, it's the eye, it's the head, the side of the head, then it's down the spine, the spinal column, and then finally into the
arterial,
the throat and up through the chin.
Exactly.
So, she certainly went 4 different ways with those pointy objects into the generals. So, it was amazing. It was just kind of like the shock of what was happening, and it was realized so well, as you say, with Cahir looking on, going, "Well, am I next?" And because all of that was done with the eyes, even with the generals looking from side to side, it was just really, really well realized, I thought, as well. Yeah.
Really, really cool.
You guys know I have a thing about eyes. And this for me just was like, this. I'm fine with gore. I'm fine with all of it. Do any sort of kind of like torture on the eyes or touching of the eyes, and I'm like, nope, I'm out. And this was torture for me.
I didn't have a major problem with eye stuff. I think this episode might have created a major problem with eye stuff in the future.
The sound director chose a squelchy noise and a slow squelchy noise, and I was like, that was overkill. I applaud you, but that was overkill. It just, throughout the scene, I was just like, oh, she just killed him, that's fine. Like, she's just going to scare the rest of them. As she slowly gives her own soliloquy about, and like, she basically James Bond villains it. It's like, here is how I did this all, and here is what you're going to do. I was expecting the James Bond, like, twist, where it's like, Cahir, surprise, I was never actually, like, and now you're in my control. And it doesn't happen like that.
Well, that's it. It's also the transition, because she's quite slow and methodical with going into Hake's eye, because he's the one that's been giving her so much grief, really, General Hake.
Well, yes, and also he's the one that broke the relationship with the elves. He's the one that didn't treat them as equals and was overtly punishing them for really minor indiscretions. You know, we saw him hang the elf in this episode.
Exactly.
Doing something really small.
So she really takes the time then, and you see the female general next to her kind of looking over and beginning sort of in horror to sort of see what's being done. But then she's just really fast with the knife to the side of her head. And then her eyes just sort of kind of bulge at what's just happened. So, yeah, it was really kind of well conceived,
Absolutely.
the whole thing.
But even the fact that none of their bodies dropped to the ground, you can just see a pool of blood underneath their seats. You know, other than Fringilla's movements throughout as she's killing them, there's no other movement going on in the room, and then just the eyes of Cahir being the only one left. Excellent scene. And another very evil presence in this world, willing to do whatever she needs to do to stay on the right side of the white flame. So, really interesting. That's my point for the episode. A couple of quick notes, I think, just to mention. We haven't mentioned Dara at all throughout these episodes. Dara is the elf that is working for the Redenian intelligence underneath the elves. This is where he sends the owl back to say, I'm no longer involved in Redenian intelligence. He's realized he's aligned to the elves here, and wants to be close to their society that they're rebuilding effectively.
Yeah.
But I will say I love how they've used Dara throughout these episodes, because we saw him initially on the boat, with his massive, afro haircut when he was arriving. And the next time we see him with all styled up. But he's in the background of everything throughout the episodes that are going on in Cintra. You'll see Dara in the background watching on, picking up intelligence to share to the Redenians. I thought it was just really great use of the character. He seems to be getting in and out of situations to find all the information that is needed for them. So I've really liked his use in this season, even though he's in the background more than he was last season. I think they've used him really well.
Yeah, and I get the feeling he'll be around more.
Yeah, I hope so. I really liked his character and his relationship with Ciri in season 1. And I think certainly with what transpires in the last episode, I can see that in effect they could be adversaries maybe, who knows, but certainly that, you know, there will be some meaning to that relationship that they formed possibly. Well, so that's just really nice carrying through these seasons as well. That's what I hope will happen as well. I've just got one note. I think it's kind of quite important, at least for setting up for episode 8 as well, is we have Ciri driving the horses to Cintra with Yennefer, after they've gone from the farmhouse where they've portaled to. But Ciri is talking, they're talking about Geralt, that, he has all the social graces of a wild boar. But in this moment, Ciri really says, Geralt is the father I never had.
Absolutely.
And I don't feel alone anymore. And Yennefer kind of makes a quip there, but she says, oh, so you love him too, So I think it's really important just that moment, how Ciri sees Geralt, but also that she has listened to him as, he ripped her away from the oncoming needle from Vesemir, but she's listening to the people around her, and that's, has huge implications then for the last episode. So I just thought it'd be a good note to have.
Excellent. Well, let's end on a final note from you, John. What's your rating for this episode?
For me, I give this 5 medieval modest mouse bands out of 5. I just really liked it. And to be honest, I think when I watched it through a second time, this tees up the last episode. Because the last episode, in some respects, is quite simple, really. There's a lot of stuff happening right at the end.
Yeah.
But, for me, I just thought this was really, really good. So 5 medieval modest mouse bands out of 5. Squeak, squeak.
Excellent. Let's get on to that final episode, the season finale of The Witcher Season 2.
I'm staying right here. Just, please, don't leave me.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying right here, living in her forever.
And we're back discussing the final episode of The Witcher Season 2, Family, the season finale. All about family.
It is. Yeah. It's not fast or furious. Well, it is fast. It goes by fast, and it is quite furious.
Pretty furious.
Fast and furious.
This episode was directed once again by Edward Bazalgette. He directed one of the episodes earlier on the season, episode 5. The episode was written by showrunner Lawrence Schmidt-Hissrich. John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with their synopsis for the final episode of Witcher Season 2, Family?
Sure. A possessed Ciri begins killing witches at Kaer Morhen. As the events unfolding become understood, the remaining witches, Yennefer and Jaskier, plan on expelling Vesemir from Ciri. Vesemir uses Ciri's power to uncover a monolith hidden in the hall, then portals in several basilisks. While Geralt and Vesemir attempt to contain Ciri, the rest of the witches battle the monsters. Meanwhile, at Cintra, blaming the Northern Kingdoms for their loss of her newborn child, Francesca kills human babies in Redania. Yennefer offers herself up as a host for Vesemir after apologizing to Ciri, freeing the princess from its control. Ciri transports Geralt and Yennefer to an unknown world where Vesemir leaves Yennefer's body and they all glimpse the wild hunt before transporting back to Kaer Morhen, where Yennefer finds that her magical powers have returned. Geralt realizes Ciri cannot stay at Kaer Morhen any longer. Meanwhile, deducing that the King of Redania is after Ciri, the Brotherhood and the remaining Northern Monarchs put a bounty on Ciri and her protectors. Istredd tells Francesca of Ciri's elder blood and the elves' great hope, while Emperor Emir arrives at Cintra and reveals that he had Francesca's newborn killed. He orders Fringilla and Cahir arrested for lying to him and is further revealed to be Ciri's father, Dunny.
Excellent big reveals and big setups for the third season of The Witcher, which we know is coming as well. But a vast majority of this episode taking place in a kind of bubble world inside Ciri's mind.
Yeah.
Lots of returning characters from season one.
Yeah. I really love that. I love that. The kind of, the memory or the bubble world and the voices of Geralt and also the other witches towards the end permeating through that barrier, where she needs to make a choice. So it was really, really good. And again, it's this choice of effectively being lost in this bubble world that, the Deathless Mother has created for her to enable her to inhabit Ciri's body, while she is rampaging in the world of the witches at Kaer Morhen.
Absolutely. Who wants to kick us off with their big moments for the episode?
I'll take this one first, if you don't mind, just because mine's pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's essentially Francesca is going biblical.
Yeah.
In the firstborn of every Redanian is dead now. She goes hard in payback and goes to Redania and essentially kills every child, firstborn baby, every baby of age gets a mark of death, and then in one fell twist of her hand, they are no more.
Yeah. This is pretty brutal.
Yeah, large-scale infanticide, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And a big change for this character as well. She's a very powerful character, and now she's acting out of revenge for everything that's happened to her.
Yeah.
I was very much expecting, as the storyline of the elves kind of grew throughout this season, I was like, all right, there's gonna be the redemption arc now. Like, this is where they're going with this. That they are going to side with Nilfgaard, and then they're going to find out the evilness, and then they'll kind of join the side of good, and they'll have their first child, and there'll be a story to go, like, no, baby dead. No, they're going dark side here. Yeah. Like, this is, at the end of this season, they are aware of who Ciri is. They are aware of the weapon and payback. Like, they are on, now she goes, she is our salvation. How that means we still need to understand, but because according to the prophecy, Ciri is a weapon for the elves.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this biblical act of war that there's no coming back from. They are now, elves are public enemy number one again, because this will be, my assumption is this will be tied back, and this will be finger very much pointed on the Nilfgaardian and the elves did this. They killed every baby this goes beyond. Because, like, you could go in and they could easily just kill a couple of men. And, like, it wouldn't be as bad. Like, to say this took a dark turn is being pretty lighthearted about it, because it is this, you don't kill animals and you don't kill babies. And the last couple of episodes have done both multiple times.
Absolutely. and not only that, but it's a betrayal of Francesca by the people or that she trusted, not specifically Fringilla, but from the Nilfgaardians, but Fringilla's still trying to take credit from it. So.
Well, absolutely, yeah. I love how that story builds up throughout the episode with Cahir and Fringilla, and I'm still not sure at the end of the episode whether Cahir believed that it was Fringilla, because he'd made up such a good reason why she would have done this that you're almost thinking that he believes it himself, that he feels like he's put the whole story together and is saying to Fringilla, that's definitely what you did, wasn't it? You're the one that killed her to send her against your enemies because she wasn't willing to do it, and you knew there was a way to twist the knife. You knew there was a way to twist her around to your way of doing things. Isn't that right, Fringilla? And Fringilla's kind of going, yes, I guess so. We did it. We'll tell the Emperor that we did it.
I took it as he did it, and he was like, I told you told me to back you, and I'm going to back you. So I did it, but we did it. You did it. You led with this. That's how I took this. Yeah. And it's not until, like, right at the end, you're like,
Well, absolutely. And it gets them into some massive trouble at the end. Yeah. They are waiting for the arrival of Emir, the emperor that they've been following, the White Flame, his arrival. And this is what they were going to put on a platter to say, this is why we are the people you should be trusting as leaders of the Nilfgaardian army. And because they do that, and he knows exactly what happened to the baby of Francesca, because he's the one that ordered it, because they've tried to claim this, that's them on the outs, effectively. They need to be arrested. They are untrustworthy in his army and need to go. So I love that machination on this side.
Yeah.
Particularly because it gives a great moment for the introduction of the White Flame, something that we've heard about back, all the way throughout the season. So it's been really interesting to have that big moment to reveal him. It's not just the reveal of who he is. It's also the kind of things he's willing to do, for his power.
Yeah, agreed. Be very interested to see how all aspects of this story further descends into chaos in season 3. We're going to get the story of more of the story of the elves in the prequel series that is probably going to air between now and season 3.
Yeah.
Because they showed obviously at the end of this, they showed the
trailer. Yes, of course.
So we're going to get the introduction of the birth of the Witchers, but also what part the elves played in this, and more stories of the elves. So we're going to see them. We've been introducing them at their somewhat lowest point in the storyline.
Yeah.
We're going to see them at their highest point in the storyline. And then in season 3, I expect you're literally getting the Sophie's choice. They're like, what level? They're either going to continue to side with the Nilfgaardians and kind of continue to be an enemy of the people, or they're going to get worse. And it's like, so which of two evils are they going to choose?
Yeah, I kind of feel this episode is saying at the end about the elves that they are their own faction now. They have learned that they feel the Rodanians have done this unspeakable act against them. As soon as they find out it's the White Flame, or anybody connected with them, well, there's no possible connection back with the Nilfgaardians again. And they've learnt that Ciri is this generational weapon, this weapon that's created for them to win the fight effectively. So why would you join up with anybody else against anybody else? You're all alone against everybody else. And they've been persecuted for so many decades and centuries by everybody else. So it feels like this is the moment when they're binding together, especially with that information from Istredd, to become their own group, fighting everybody and fighting back against everybody if they get that power of Ciri.
And I always forget, Istredd and Yennefer are part elf. The two of them are part elf. So it makes sense that he will side with that. He will be that major mage that we have connection of who knows the whole storyline as part of the elves.
Yeah.
Because Cahir and Frangilla are that for the Nilfgaardians. So essentially we're getting one or two major characters who know who Ciri is in each of these factions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going into the next season.
Yeah. But remember, there wasn't a very strong welcome to Istredd, even though he may be part elf. Once again, the idea of somebody being part elf rubs the elves up the wrong way as much as it can rub the humans up the wrong way if you're part elf. So we see that very straight down the line from Francesca when Istredd's coming to her with this information, saying that he's the one that's been helping the elves to get out and get to safety. And she's going, no, you're the human mage. That's how she refers to him. So yeah, it'll be interesting. She has the information from him. And he will help out, but I don't know whether they're going to rope in all of the part elves in the world. As I mentioned before, there's a point that says that, there's nobody on the continent that doesn't have some elf, blood in them. So.
It's just more what element or how much maybe. Yeah. But yeah, that's my major point for this episode, just to see where that goes. When you go that level of biblical, I'm in. Yeah. I'm like, okay, you're going evil.
It really is, isn't it? Old Testament. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the wording I was looking for. Thank you. Biblical Old Testament. Thank you.
Absolutely. But again, it's really important to frame this correctly for them. They had thought of this child as the first full-blooded elf to be born to them, their only hope. And this is what the entirety of the elves were aligning behind and realizing there is a future for them because they can have children now and because there's a potential that they'll be able to recreate their society. And that's all been taken away by this one act. So it's a massive, it's not just getting angry because she's lost a child. This is the entirety of the elves losing all hope for a possible future that they thought was right there in front of them. So it's a massive thing.
And it was their combined, not just the mother and the father, but it was the combined loss of all the elves that helped freed the Deathless Mother. Like it fed into her power, continues to feed her power. That anguish from all the elves.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the other thing, just coming back to Istredd, which I really, really liked, was all the time he's talking, there's owls hooting in the forest, and then it pulls back where you have Redanian intelligence, the listening in to the full conversation.
Yeah, the leader, as we said before.
Well, exactly. But we see the transformation of the owl, in Distra's quarters back in Redania. So really, really like that.
So we could have been right. She could have been the leader of Redanian intelligence because she can change into an owl.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's just a really nice shot. Even if they hadn't done the pan back shot, I heard the owl and I went, Redanian intelligence. That was just really nicely done.
Absolutely.
And it's going to play so big into. I don't even know who that character is, and I'm like, I want more information. This is cool.
Yeah. It's a really interesting idea that they have somebody that's transmorphed themselves into an owl and is flitting in and out of people's bedrooms all the time.
It's a were owl. She's a were owl. It's going to be the way. It's going to be great. It introduced werewolves, cats. Where ravens.
You never know.
Where squirrels. Those are the really bad ones. They've got the teeth.
Wow, yeah.
John, do you want to take us on with your big moment for the episode?
Yeah, but it's big, but it's mainly, it's the fight. It's the parallel fight that's happening in Kaer Morhen as Ciri is locked in this bubble world. And you have, the Deathless Mother playing out ultimately her vengeance. We see her killing the witches.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 more witches murdered by the knife of Ciri while they're sleeping.
Definitely.
Given their number was under 20 at the beginning of the season, the numbers are dropping considerably.
It's everything here because you see the pain on Vesemir as he sees more witches as she unleashes basilisks from effectively the monolith that has been hiding out in the Witcher tree as well. And cracking that. So I just loved all this portal that the Deathless Mother creates to send out the basilisks, but also, you know, you see them being contained as Geralt's trying to, you know, he's really tried to persuade Vesemir that they have to keep Ciri alive. Can't just kill the vessel of her body to get rid of the Deathless Mother. So I really liked how, as well, even with that, they begin to peel off, so that they can help their brothers, their Witcher brothers, to fight off these basilisks. And the white monster that's created, by, Vesemir is, I love that fight with Geralt, on the kind of, bridge. I just thought that the fire connected them with the sword under the chin, and then as he kind of uses his whole weight to slice through from and then knock him off. Like, it was just like, so good. It really felt action packed, and I loved how it intercut then all the while with Ciri's bubble world and all of this. But it really kind of ended off where, you know, there's the realization that the vengeance that the Deathless Mother is unleashing on the Witchers, it's that Witcher hate that is making Vesemir grow stronger, and that, you know, they need to all sort of pull back from that, and they begin, you know, speaking to Ciri in the bubble world. That's when it permeates through from all the different witches. So then that Volmouth ultimately needs another vessel in which she can replace Ciri and reside. Yeah. And we have Yen offering herself up here as that other vessel. So, you know, almost to make up for the betrayal of Ciri. But I just thought this was all, it was so kind of action packed. I loved the battle with the monsters. I loved how it's taking place with a much more serene Ciri in the bubble world. And I think just Vesemir, you really sense, you know, I can't let any more witches die. Yeah. It was just so good.
And like, he does make a really good point, you know, when Jaskier died, effectively Geralt was saying to him he had to die. He had this demon inside of him, and that the only way I could fix this was to kill him. And it's thrown back from Vesemir going, well, that means I have to kill Ciri, and you're going to have to be okay with that, right? Because he was as close to me as Ciri is to you, you know? Yeah. So I really like that battle between the two of them, their minds and their opinions on what's going on. I absolutely loved Geralt throwing up the shield almost without looking to stop Vesemir. You know, again, Vesemir, the one who helped to create him, the father of the Witchers here, and the one that would have helped train him, is stopped almost instantly and held off by Geralt. So showing again the power of Geralt himself. Yeah. But the resolution of it again comes back to that discussion with Nenneke, back a couple of episodes ago, where she said, find the thing that Ciri's missing. And what Ciri is missing is the family. Ciri is missing the people around her that will help and guide her, which is what the unified front of all of the Witchers with Yennefer and Jaskier, what they're all saying is, we are here for you. You're part of us. You're part of a new family now. Forget about what you've lost in the past.
Definitely.
Come and join us. So I love the quiet resolution of a show that's action packed every single episode. Yep. That quiet resolution of put down your arms and tell her she is in a safe place and mean it. It's really important that she knows we are the people that are surrounding her and protecting her. Yeah. Really, really good moment.
Yeah. And it's visually spectacular in that there's a brief moment where before Vesemir and the other Witcher put on the shield around Ciri, and as Geralt talks to her, there is a split second that you think Vesemir's going to attack.
Yeah.
Like, and it's only that split second later where you see Vesemir's anger and grief take over, and it's just that beautiful, like, side swipe shot or side sword movement by Geralt to stop Vesemir's blade. Mm-hmm. And he continues that to, unfortunately, well, Vesemir still stabs, so what are you going to do? Yeah. but she heals. It's fine. It's the competing emotions across everything.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's a quiet resolution, but actually it's the self-sacrifice of Yen, like, who we have seen some brutal aspects of, like, her trying to kill herself in season 1, putting herself, and it's her sacrifice here that brings back her power. I don't fully get that one, whether it was the possession that we turned on the pipeline for magic again, or if it was her self-sacrifice that turned it on and, like, unblocked her chakras, whatever.
I'm not sure about that either. I know that the whole premise of where Yen's coming from is that the Deathless Mother is using the thing you most fear, the thing that's deepest inside of you, that you what you want most. I feel like the battle at Sodden Hill at the end of season 1, Yen using the fire magic that she used blocked Yennefer from using other magic. I don't think that the magic was lost. I think that because she used that much power out of herself, we learned this season that the fire draws on the power within.
Yeah.
So it feels like because she used so much of it, it had drawn it out and it has come back. But I think Yen had made almost a mental block in herself that the Deathless Mother was feeding on. So when the Deathless Mother is gone, the magic returns. I think it's something to do with that. Maybe this is the path that Yennefer goes on in season 3. Why did I lose my magic? How much have I got back? Maybe that's her journey in season 3. But it's not 100% clear why she gets it back. But it's great that she is involved in that sacrifice. Everybody's involved. As I say, everybody in that room is involved in making that moment important. And I do love that Jaskier comes up at the end to the Witchers going, aren't we one big happy family? And they go, not you.
That again, like the comedic foil. It adds this levity of a tough couple of moments.
Yeah. And truly, if he hadn't been involved, he's the one that threw in this active Jasper Stone that gave the inspiration to Geralt to come up with this plan through Yennefer. But if he hadn't been there and hadn't done that, there's a possibility this couldn't have worked out. So he is as involved as everybody else. You are right, though. One of the cool things about the scene, if you watch it with the subtitles on, as we always do when we're doing the reviews, one of the cool things in the background of every scene that you can't always hear, but there are subtitles of the other Witchers calling for help, and that's why Geralt and Vesemir are breaking off at times in this big battle. They're running to help other Witchers, which I just think is a really good touch of having this battle, even though there's two static, very strong Witchers at Ciri, having a conversation. That's why they keep breaking off throughout, and it's really cool.
And ultimately, with Yennefer's sacrifice in terms of taking on board the Deathless Mother, it is then that she arrived at the conjunction, if I understood it correctly, that she is actually simply looking to get home, to get back through the monolith to return home. And that's when we see Ciri transporting the three of them, including the Deathless Mother, to another sphere where I have no idea what I saw, but I think they're the Wraiths of Morhog.
That's correct.
Which they mentioned earlier in the season about being the portents of doom.
I love. I have no idea what I saw, but this is the exact spelling of it. We Googled, right?
No, I just remember that being mentioned previously, so I assumed because he just said wraiths. I think
it's the wild hunt.
So, and yes, the Deathless Mother forms into one of the riders on horseback, and says, "Your place is with us. Join our hunt." And then, as they charge towards them, it's like, "Quick, get us out of here, Ciri!"
The multiverse of The Witcher has been created. Yes, other planes of existence. Very interesting, really interesting. And just a brief snippet of what's happening. And I love, exactly as you said, John, Geralt says exactly the same thing. He just kind of goes, I have no idea what I've seen, but I'll work it out. I'll keep thinking about it.
There's the Wild Hunted, and they are last seen riding, we were told in episode 1, they were last seen riding across the sky. And now we know that they were missing a rider, was why they could not go. the Deathless Mother was one of the riders, much like the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse here. It's the 7 Horsemen of the Wild Hunt.
Right.
Kind of thing.
Yep.
And it was 6 and a horse, and now it's the 7.
Yeah.
There you go. And there's a possible 8th with Ciri. If her place is there as well. Everybody wants Ciri, don't they?
Yeah, and it's to your point as well, Chris. The Wild Hunt is from northern mythology, Norsemen, and Central and Western Europe. It's bed into that mythology. So that was quite interesting. Yeah, well, I mean,
at the end of days,
the Brothers Grimm popularized and I think defined the term the Wild Hunt. But yeah, coming from Odin and those traditions, I think. I always remember there's a Welsh one as well. I'm sure there must be an Irish Celtic equivalent as well.
I think I'm probably much more familiar with the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, which we covered on Good Omens.
Exactly, is where it's coming from. Because the other is, in Britain, it was Woden's Hunt, which is Odin in I guess, Old English.
Old English, yes.
Yeah. Because you just added a W to everything in Old English and it was ye olde.
Well, I think the Saxons and that were also of Northern, so it came with them. And
this is why you failed Old English in school, Chris.
It is. I just added a W to everything.
Anything else on the fight in Kaer Morhen?
For me, it was, just, again, visually beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
As you said, like they dropped some Cahir in the CGI with the monsters. Oh,
yes, they did.
But also just, again, the framing of the deaths and the shots. Just, they know at this now. They're like 8 episodes, 16 episodes in. They know how to shoot magic and the kind of swords and sorcery aspect while still keeping that overall kind of aesthetic that they built up, that very darkened. I suppose I want to say it was a very darkened because it's indoors. I think that's more to the point. It's very darkened and shadowed because it's indoors. As soon as they got into the white of Kaer Morhen outside with Geralt skewering, I should say, the mouth of the basilisk, it brightens up so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely beautiful.
And it was just structured so well in terms of how it was shot, how it was written, in terms of that interplay between what's happening to actual Ciri and what's happening to Ciri as a vessel.
Absolutely.
And what's happening with Geralt and Vesemir in terms of how that plays out. It all kind of combined to, family ultimately. And it was really good.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think we've kind of touched on all the big points from the episode, all the major points of the episode. I did just want to quickly talk about the vision, that series going on, because it was really nice to see some of the characters from season 1 back. Really cool to see Maisak back from season 1, and of course Ciri's grandmother Calanthe back. What I really liked about it is because their relationship has now changed. This is an older version of Ciri. Ciri wasn't this age the last time her grandmother saw her. And I love the reaction from her grandmother because it seemed really natural seeing Ciri take responsibility for her role now, in their family, even though it's in a vision. Ciri doesn't know that. She suspects it, but even though it's in a vision, I liked seeing that relationship build, this idea that Ciri's willing to have the suitors come up and dance with her now, things that she would be railing against, in the past, because this is the idealized version of the family that she wished was alive. Her grandmother wasn't like this. Maisak wasn't even like this. Maisak's really kind to her and is willing to share all the information about her family tree, all of that kind of stuff. These aren't the things that she would remember them for, but this is the dream that she would have. This is the thing she's been missing. And it's been presented to her by the Deathless Mother, in the same way as Yennefer describes, finding that one thing, and exploiting it effectively. So I really like that. The vision of her parents as well. I just wanted to confirm Ciri hadn't had much interaction with her parents. Both her parents were dead when she was young. So she hadn't seen her father before, definitely. We'd seen her parents because there's that whole, the reason why Geralt has Ciri as a charge is because he's the one that enabled the two of them to get together. He got the curse lifted off Ciri's father back in season 1. So we've seen these two characters before, but Ciri doesn't know them at all. So interesting to see the two of them there. And I do have one question about how the scene ends as everything closes down and Ciri makes her choice to go to the Witchers and leave this place. Everybody burns up. We see her grandmother burn up first. Then we see Mousak burn up beside her. We see her mother burn up, but we don't see her father. We don't see Dunny, burn up within the scene. And it's just really interesting because he's introduced as the White Flame. So why is it that he doesn't burn up in this scene? Why is he still standing at the end? Is he in some way in control of the plan of what was going on with Vesemir? Was he in some way connecting with her? Is that actually him in that vision? You know, it threw up loads of questions for me as to why he didn't burn up in the scene. Or were the makers of the show just trying to make sure that we had his face imprinted on us so that when it's revealed at the end that it's her father, we know exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's difficult to know because I suspect like the White Flame is also a mage and a magic user to some degree. I feel I just can't remember from season 1 now because there's a feeling of strength, you know, and plotting. So he could have inserted himself into that. He could be the whole reason behind the Deathless Mother in the first place in order to have that moment. But I don't know as such whether I would tend towards that because he wants his daughter back and he says that at the end, you know, he's looking for his daughter. I think what it is really nice is how, as well, in terms of that final scene, I guess, I like how it connects in with just the three of them sat down on the bridge at Kaer Morhen and Geralt saying, the only thing I haven't figured out is, you know, how did Nilfgaard know the truth about Ciri before everyone else, you know? And then it's like blam into White Flame, with Emir. So I thought that was really cool transition. But yeah, it was one of those things where I think we rewound back to see, or did he start to turn to ash, do the kind of Voldemort thing at the end? But he didn't seem to be. It just seemed to be like everyone had disappeared, but we had Mousak, Calanthe, and Parvesia, sort of ashing it, I guess, and disintegrating, but he still remained. So maybe it was just a thematic choice as well, as you say.
Maybe.
I'm leaning towards the thematic choice, just based on what we know of the White Flame and overall the prophecy, and just because directly there wasn't many points of the Child of Surprise being the weapon, or like many linkages to the prophecy, etc., that we know of now. I think they have a choice within the writer's room. Like, they can go both ways like this. Yeah. Like, they can make him as powerful as Ciri to a degree, and maybe it wasn't the mother's side, it was the mother's side plus the father, who was a big mage and magic user, etc.
Yeah.
I think they have lots of choices there.
It's such an interesting choice for the show, because when Geralt saved him and saved their marriage and led to the birth of Ciri and then had the child surprise, effectively, it's kind of it's a nice story. Without Geralt, they wouldn't have gotten together.
Yeah.
But now, without Geralt, we wouldn't have the White Flame. We wouldn't have the leader of the Nilfgaardians attacking all across the continent and in this search for Ciri. So it's kind of a knife edge as to whether he's done something good or bad by getting her parents together, I suppose.
Once again, it is he is. The cause of all this lays on him. Mm. Like, it is his burden to carry, much like Ciri as the Child of Surprise is his burden to carry.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my major point from the episode. I think let's kind of lay down. There's a couple of notes that we have and a couple of questions that we have at the end of the series, I suppose, but let's just lay down where we have, where everybody is at the moment. So we have the return of the White Flame to lead the Nilfgaardians. Specifically, we hear from Emir, it's his daughter. He wants her back. He's telling everybody. He's not shy about it. He's telling them all, it's Ciri. That's the most important thing. We have the elves on the other side. Istredd has told them who Ciri is, that she's the weapon to save them for their future. So they will also be after Ciri. Then we have all the mages. The Brotherhood have convened because they also know who Ciri is, what her future possibility is, and the fact that she will be the most important thing for anybody who wants to take Cintra and have a real claim on it. So they've decided they will go after Ciri and kill her along with anybody that's guarding her. Which they know is Geralt and Yennefer. So there's all three factions now are after Ciri.
Yeah.
For varying reasons, but all after her now. So it's an interesting way to wrap up the series.
Yep. And the divorced mother and father are going on a road trip with Ciri.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be full of bickering, and that's going to be fun. Maybe to cut the tension with a knife.
Yeah.
The training on that's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
How Ciri and Yen and Geralt travel and where they go to, and will Jaskier come? And I can see the fun jokes there. Like, that's going to be an interesting dynamic in the next season.
You can see fun jokes in this next season. That's a good thing, Chris.
Yeah, it is.
Considering how dark we ended. But you're right. I do love the response from Yennefer when Geralt gives her the task, effectively, of she has to be the one to train Ciri, and she goes, I wouldn't trust anybody else other than me to do it. So I like that.
Yeah.
I really, really like that they didn't reveal who the fire mage Rience is meeting with at the end.
Yeah, me too.
I was expecting, and I'm putting the money on it being Vildeforge, the other mage who Tristani is sleeping with. I'm expecting it to be him, because they started to show his character not being as nice as we all expected him to be, whereas altruistic, by him going dark onto Seiya, and screaming at her, and then basically gaslighting her to say it was her fault. He really wished it wasn't, she didn't put him. And then they show her to be evil anyway. And I was like, okay.
From a certain point of view, Chris, from her point of view, she's trying to save the continent, of course.
True.
But remember, this is the slowest build of a possible villain in the show that we have in this character, because last season we saw him turn on his own men and take a mace to the face of one of his own men. So we knew he was dark. We knew he was bad. And we knew that he was using Tissia to get the power at the Brotherhood, effectively. So it would be interesting if he's the one, and I think he's the most likely prospect.
Yeah, definitely.
To be using Rience the Fire Mage to get to Ciri. I think he's the most likely one.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see where that kind of knits out.
Mm-hmm.
My final one is just who is the Owl Mage?
I knew you wanted to say it.
Yeah,
all episode.
That's it. I've just been waiting and waiting. It's so cool, because I for so long thought it was it's just they're talking through the owl, and the owl is psychic and blah blah blah. But to find out it is someone transmogrifying themselves and transforming into an owl.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure it's the books or the game explain it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Or we did guess it, that she is the leader of Redenian intelligence. We just didn't know that she would change into a human. We thought it would just be an owl that was giving all the directions.
Yes, pretty much. The interesting final bit on this is that Dijkstra being outed, or confirming that he was Jaskier's benefactor and trying to help the elves, which just leads way more questions. I was like, what? He's doing it to try and prop up the elves, to go with the Nilfgaardians, to make it worse for them and better for the... this is where the politics, I'm like, okay, so why are they doing this? Or... yeah, it was a bit of a head scratcher, but I'm like, okay, see where it goes. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I had heard that from Dijkstra when he said it, and all I could think of was, artists have sponsors, effectively. So that's how they're able to travel around the world here, is because he's his benefactor. He's the one that's paying for it. It's only now when you're saying it that I understand that actually the benefactor that you're talking about is the person that would help to move the elves, which is a much more important job than just supporting Jaskier. All I was thinking was Jaskier thinks he's famous and is making lots of money for his work. But actually it turns out it's Redenian intelligence supporting him. So no, it's about the movement of the elves. That makes a lot of sense. Interesting, again, wrapping another major character now. Jaskier had no real skin in the game, but potentially it's going to be drawn on from Dijkstra next season.
Definitely.
Yeah, very good. Any last points before we close out the episode?
None from me.
None from me.
All right. Well, John, overall, what did you think of the final 4 episodes of The Witcher Season 2?
Really just enjoyed the hell out of these last 4 episodes. For this episode, I would give 5 squirrels out of 5 for sure. And I mean, just these last 4 episodes, I just thought they were really tightly done, really well structured, just flowed through. And I love where they've left it for season 3. So yeah, this was really, really good for me.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah, I'm totally with you. Really good season this time, and really good last 4 episodes. The only complaint I have about this show is how difficult it is to keep some of the characters straight.
Well, definitely.
The cast is huge, and it is really difficult when I'm trying to work out who works for who and where, and who's responsible for the movement of the storyline here, and then you add in mythical creatures to it, and creatures that we haven't seen before. There's so much going on throughout this show, and it's interesting having read one of the books, which has, like, I would say, a fifth of this kind of activity going on in an entire book. Like, it's spread so slowly over a book, in comparison to what they're doing on the show. So, it's an interesting choice now that I can compare the two, to put this much content into one season of the show. But I am really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the storyline. There's lots and lots going on, and lots of moving parts. And I have to give a good bit of credit for whoever it is that's designing the monsters, and make sure that their name is said twice in every episode. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
So when the monster first appears, they name the monster, and then they repeat the name of the monster, just so you know. This episode is the basilisks, right? Have we got basilisks? Basilisks, yes. What type of basilisks are those?
Stony basilisks, yes, right.
Little tick for all podcasters out there, just in case you don't know what the monsters are. They're giving you the names. So really enjoyed that. How about yourself, Chris? What did you think of the second half of season 2 of The Witcher?
I'm very much in agreement with both of you. Absolutely loved it. I'm more with you, Derek, in that, like, I completely forgot Frangilla's uncle is in the Brotherhood. I completely forgot that story apart from season 1. Mm-hmm. So there are threads that I'm just like, wait, what? Like I briefly remember aspects of that. Uh-huh. So I suppose if I had to watch all of season 1 before, like as a kind of recap, it'd all be fresh, but we don't have time.
Well, yeah.
Overall, I actually loved it. It sped up and it got dark.
Oh, yes.
Very quickly. So I think one of the key aspects they're going to have to bring in season 3 is the choice. Will this continue to be basically the dark timeline? In that majority, like they made some choices where, like, you're killing kids, mm-hmm. and you killed Roach. Like, you're going, like I said, dark timeline. So will they continue with that level? Which I think they will. I think they're going for this storyline where this is not if you want a more upbeat kind of high sword fantasy, sword and sorcery, uh-huh. you go Lord of the Rings or you go Wheel of Time. If you want to go for the dark stuff where there's adult content and themes, welcome to The Witcher. I think that's what they're going for. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to see, especially deeper into season 3.
That will be interesting. Yeah, I think you're running out of places to go to for light fantasy these days. I think everything is getting darker and darker. John, one final point before we go on to feedback. John, do you want to share which characters you were confused by at the end of the season?
Yeah, it was Rience and Emir. There was some similarity there in just their face and I guess their hair, the way mm-hmm. it was. So I was convinced they were the same character, but just with different names.
It was like this massive reveal at the end of the show. Look who it is. That's the White Flame. Is it the guy that's been setting fire to everything throughout the season? It's him. It's Rience. So, yes. So the big reveal didn't work on John until he said the words, "That is my daughter." I think.
Yeah, and also, as I say, it was I did think he was the guy of Gisborne from Robin Hood.
That's true.
Prince of Thieves.
That's true. Let's get on to some feedback from our wonderful fellow witches. We'll start off with Dr. Bob Phillips, who has, as I said last episode, has shared thoughts about each of the 8 episodes. Here's his thoughts about episode 5 through to 8. On episode 5, he said, highlights of this episode are the Yennefer reborn as a ninja spy and the dream world being more interactive than cinematic, and the monolith explorer and deductions. This feels like we're moving beyond standard fantastical into sci-fi mixed stuff with multiple worlds. Lowlights of the episodes: how does elder blood defy gravity in the bloodletting into a bottle scene? You need the casket a bit lower than that. Also, use a syringe for that volume.
That's very true.
That is true.
But it's elder blood. It defies laws of magic as well.
Absolutely. Maybe it's specific properties of this type of blood. Good stuff. I like the idea of mixing fantasy and sci-fi in The Witcher. I think that's an interesting concept that starts to come into the show this season.
Definitely. And now that you've seen that there is multiple worlds in the game, CD Projekt Red, you have people saying that they've seen Ciri in the game or files within Cyberpunk. So apparently
really?
she went to there as well. Yeah, definitely fun.
There's a nice crossover. On episode 6, Dr. Bob says, they killed Roach and brought Yennefer back to kiss Geralt. Ciri's Dark Whisperer is very unnerving. Given it's episode 6, I think this is going to pay off next season, though. Love the callback to purity and the first meeting of in Yennefer's sex party. Was that the unicorn story that Yennefer's telling?
That was the unicorn story. The stuffed unicorn that Geralt and Yennefer had fun on.
Yes, they did.
Say it that way.
Yes, they did. On episode 7, Dr. Bob says, so much happening. Going on an adventure and slaughtering baddies to rescue Ciri was a payoff I didn't expect so quickly. Nor did I think Baba Yaga would escape from the hut and bind them with the interstellar princess. I like that. I like that, the interstellar princess. Finally, on episode 8, Dr. Bob says, loving the armory full of potions as well as traditional weaponry. Also, Vesemir has clearly gone to the same singing teacher as Chris. Really didn't expect the monolith within the tree. That linking was like Jurassic Park on acid.
Excellent.
I'm very impressed. Francesca makes Herod look like an amateur. I just didn't think the trio would make it back. I thought that this season would end with this setup. Thought that this was a 3rd season setup in voyaging to a distant portal. Ooh, interesting. That would be
I'm glad they made it back though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it gave Geralt a final opportunity to go, I don't know what's going on.
Exactly. Like me.
And the answer is yes. The Deathless Mother and I both go to the same vocal coach.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit more guttural on my side, a bit deeper octave, but yeah, no, we're good.
Scream into this microphone.
Exactly.
We're homies
with distortion.
I'm the Deathless Brother.
There you go.
Oh,
there you
no.
go. Thanks, Dr. Bob, for your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the whole of season 2 of The Witcher.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dr. Bob.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Bob. We also got an email from Coffee and Vodka who had said this. Greetings, remaining Witchers. Oof, harsh. What a difference when you stop watching a series and start experiencing it. Decided to go for a Witcher-themed birthday. Went through Nightmares of the Wolf and then the final 4 episodes of the series in one break-free binge.
Ooh, very good.
A lot to take in, and way too John Wick series for season 3. The plight of the elves, political intrigue, infanticide, so much infanticide, the return of Yennefer's magic, the further depletion of the Wolf Witch clan, so much more. Despite its solid plot this time round, it ends with several shows worth of cliffhangers. Surprisingly, not a bad thing. This is because it also ends with the entire band back together again. More or less a stable team. The lack of happily ever after Geralt and Yennefer's relationship was an excellent move. Once Rachel and Ross are back together, the show is over. Jaskier, who was 3 shades of irritating in the first series, was perfect in this one. Just the right amount of humour with an extra edge of sarcasm. And as always, the violence was excellently staged. Though why Roach had to be the one on the receiving end is beyond me. Rest in peace, sweet Roach. The few bad notes were the telegraphing of Elfin's baby's death, and the appearance of Ciri's father. He was the only one not to fade in Baba Yaga's illusion. The worst being the illusion itself. It was officially a trope. She should have been in psychic chains if Babby thrives from the suffering. These, however, just barely dinged an otherwise heady experience. 4 monolithic monsters, Chernobog bugs, Blonda Yagas, and orthodontist dreams out of 5. Peace and take care, Coffee and Vodka. P.S. How weird is it the 3 series I'm watching, The Witcher, Peacemaker, and Book of Boba Fett, are all about a professional killer trying to change their programming.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Coffee and Vodka. Yes, they kind of professional killers trying to change their life is really in right now. It's almost vogue.
It certainly is. Everybody wants to tell the story of the anti-hero.
Yep. If only they allowed us to bring back Punisher.
Oh, we got a good season of Punisher.
Oh, we did. But to John Berthold back again would be amazing.
It'd be great. It'd be great to see him again. Excellent. Thank you so much, Coffee and Vodka. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and that's a good way to spend your birthday. Hopefully you had a very good birthday. Hope you enjoyed it. Nice way to spend it with Nightmare the Wolf and these last 4 episodes as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Coffee and Vodka, for that, and happy birthday.
I would sing for you, Coffee and Vodka, but apparently we'd lose half of our remaining Witchers.
Or as a present to Coffee and Vodka and everybody else, you're not going to sing happy birthday.
That too. It's glass half full, glass half empty.
Glass half
depending
full,
on how you look
definitely.
at it.
Excellent. Thanks so much for joining us, fellow Witchers, and thanks, John and Chris, of course, for joining us all to discuss The Witcher Season 2. We hope you stay subscribed to the podcast. There's lots and lots of great stuff coming up in 2022. You can subscribe to the podcast by looking for us under TV Podcast Industries, or go to our website at tvpodcastindustries.com. You'll find all of our podcasts up there, including all 4 episodes of The Witcher now. We will be covering Star Trek Picard from the start of March and Moon Knight from Marvel at the end of March. So we do hope you'll join us for those brand new shows coming to Amazon Prime for Star Trek Picard, or Paramount Plus in the US, and Moon Knight coming to Disney Plus. So lots of stuff in there. A couple other movies we will, I'm sure, be talking about. The Batman's coming out on March 4th, which I'm sure we'll be talking about on the podcast as well. So lots and lots of stuff going on. But we'll be taking a little break between now and then. We're going on holiday together, weirdly.
I know.
Yeah, myself and John are taking a week and going off on holiday, and then we're going to be joined by Chris for a few days of relaxation and no podcasting. That'll be fun.
Yes.
Yes.
Can't
the Super
wait.
Bowl will be on. We will be cheering on our teams. Go football, not soccer. Football.
Go Bengals, Chris. Yes.
Yes. The Tigers. Will the tiger destroy a ram? Or will a ram use its horns and kill and skewer a tiger?
I love
Who
this.
knows?
Chris is talking like he's some nerd that's never seen football before. We've had a Super Bowl party for 15 years, every single year in February. And Chris is almost always there.
I can't break the nerd illusion, people. I can't.
And the ram,
I'm not a jock, I swear.
And the ram has had a lot of money put behind it as well.
It's true. It's been cybernetically enhanced. Genetics. Just when you think we couldn't do it, we can rebuild it. The $6 million ram.
Perfect.
Yes.
Maybe you'll be supporting the Rams in the Super Bowl. I'm up Bengals. Excellent stuff. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you again next time.
Yes, thank you so much, fellow Witchers. Remember, if you like what you hear, head on over to patreon.com and give us an old subscription. You know you want to, or just on a one-off. If you really enjoyed this, just The Witcher, go on and head over to buymeacoffee.com/tvpi, where you can just give us a one-off tip, you know. Thank you so much for following and listening, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Yes, thank you so much, fellow Witchers, for joining us. Can't wait to speak to you again, probably as fellow Trekkers in the near future with Star Trek Picard, and of course for Witchers Season 3, which will be coming. So yes, lots to come. But thanks so much for the discussion and for the feedback. All fantastic stuff. And remember, keep watching, keep listening, and keep witching.
There you go. Keep
Bye.
witching. I like it. Bye.
Bye.